Chapter 757. Yi Fan stood up and left the stone platform in large strides. Many people raised their eyebrows and looked suspiciously at his back, feeling that he looked familiar. Who is this person? What a powerful blood chi. It's as if there's a horned dragon coiling around his body, someone said in fear. Yi Fan walked away with majestic steps, giving people a very handsome back. No one would have thought that he had returned. The world was too big, and not many people had seen him before. Let's go and take a look. The Wang clan is really powerful. They have a close relationship with the ancient race and dare to come to the southern mountains to wipe out a clan. How domineering! Alright, let's go and take a look. The ancient mountains are covered with battle clouds. There will definitely be a life and death battle. The battle blood in Yi Fan's heart surged. He wanted nothing more than to kill his way to the front. He wanted to enter the northern plains and uproot the Wang clan. That clan really thinks they can cover the sky with one hand. As long as I, Divine Son Li Tian, am here, they can forget about being supreme in the world. My human desire orthodoxy will flourish here, Li Tian said. He treated this battle as the battle that would make him famous on this ancient star. The murderous intent in Yi Fan's heart was like the sea. His gaze seemed to penetrate this land. The southern mountains was also a battlefield and would become a path of no return for the invaders. No matter how many came, they would die. Is there a teleportation formation here? He asked around, but he was afraid that he wouldn't make it in time. If he was late, he would be letting down Dongfang Ye's clansmen. An old apothecary over 60 years old said, "There is a formation platform in front, but it's very shabby. It's often troublesome to pass through space. However, many people are borrowing it, saying that they are going to some wild mountain range to watch the battle." Yi Fan rushed over with large strides. Li Tian and Yen Ishi followed closely behind. Like 3 bolts of lightning, they surpassed everyone and appeared on an ancient platform. This divine formation was indeed shabby. It was obvious that it had existed for tens of thousands of years and was barely usable. When the 3 of them released their powerful auras, no one dared to compete with them. So what if the Arch is alive? This time, we will give them a cold corpse and destroy their primordial spirits. We will make him a true dead man with no hope of survival. After Li Tian stood on the platform, he said these words, scaring the people around him into retreating. They trembled with fear as they watched their figures disappear. The southern mountain range was filled with towering mountains and precipitous ridges. There were earth veins everywhere, and strange beasts and birds roamed the land. There were many ancient lands, and the mountains were filled with miasma. There were also many primitive tribes. Dongfang Ye's clansmen were within an ancient mountain range. Right now, a great enemy was right in front of them with endless killing intent. Large amounts of experts arrived and surrounded this place. In the sky, dark clouds roiled, war drums shook the heavens, banners fluttered, and ancient war chariots rumbled, crushing the heavens. Cold light shone on iron clothes. It was unknown just how many experts had arrived. This was an extremely small tribe that lived in seclusion within a primitive mountain range. They originally stood aloof from worldly affairs, but today, a great disaster descended upon them. An old man flew up from the mountains and arrived in midair. He was very thin and withered, and his clothes were patched up. He was very plain, and his white hair was messy. "Who are you people? Why did you come to attack my tribe?" "Nothing more than a group of uncivilized primitive people. I can't be bothered to talk to you guys. Today, not a single one of you will be left alive. I will exterminate your entire tribe. Not a single one of you will be able to leave alive." In the sky, an enormous silver warship flickered with a cold metallic luster. It emitted a wave of intimidating aura, and on top of it was a cold and arrogant middle-aged man. After he finished speaking, he smashed his fist down. It was boundlessly tyrannical, and at the same time, his battle prowess was also incomparably astonishing. Divine radiance pierced through the sun, and it was as if a great mountain was pressing down. The mountain forest collapsed, and a fist appeared. It directly smashed onto that old man's body, and he didn't even have time to dodge. His body was broken on the spot, and his blood dyed the sky red as he fell into the ancient village below. Only a corner of his patched old clothes was left. It was stained with blood as it slowly floated down from the sky. No one could bear to see this. A simple and honest old man was broken just like that. Sixth uncle. Sorrowful cries came from within the ancient village. A group of people were incomparably angry. Old 17's temper is too great. Why didn't he ask anything before attacking so heavily? Maybe we can obtain some harvest after interrogating him. At that time, it won't be too late to wash this place with blood. On another golden warship, a slightly older middle-aged man spoke. My clan has been too sullen in the past few years. So many of our people were killed by an unknown divine physique. Even Ting had to bear a grudge. Old 17 has always been in isolation, and after coming out, he has a belly full of anger. Someone beside him said, "Where are you evil thieves from? Coming here to commit murder?" A man in his 20s flew into the sky. His upper body was bare, and his muscles were bulging. His skin was bronze in color, and he carried a large axe in his hand. You don't know the difference between life and death. Even a grain of rice can emit light. Just a group of civilized people. On the silver warship, the middle-aged man, old 17, was incomparably cold. He pointed with his finger, and a divine radiance flew out, piercing through that young man in an instant. Pooh! A flower of blood blossomed. Half of his body was instantly shattered, and only the blood-stained axe remained intact. It fell from the sky together with him, and it was incomparably tragic. Brother Quan! Brotherly Quan! Cries sounded from the village below. A few children even more so let out heart-wrenching cries as they surrounded the dying man. I'll leave you with your life. I like to appreciate death. That is a type of enticing taste. Wang family's old 17 laughed coldly. Enticing my ass. A large man in the village roared. He was about to rush into the sky with a large iron rod in his hand. Come back. Right at this time, a low shout sounded from the village. An old man with a walking stick walked out. He wore hemp clothes and he was as thin as a match. His hair was sparse and he looked extremely old. Fifth grandfather. Many people surrounded him and their voices were sobbing. Inside the ancient village, one old and one young had their bodies shattered. Their vitality was about to end, and they were bleeding to the point of death. Everyone was extremely sad and angry. Sound the alarm, have old 7 and old 9 come out of isolation. The old man said with a heavy voice. Then he rose into the sky. I've long heard that some primitive tribes hid unmatched experts. It seems like the rumors weren't false. A small village like yours actually has a great expert like you, and there seem to be 2 others who are in isolation. It seems like you all obtained an ancient inheritance, and it is extremely powerful. It should be an ancient scripture of the saints. That means to say, after massacring your village, there will be great rewards. Wang family's old 17 sneered. Old 17, let's leave this person to 13th brother. I haven't fought for many years. Another middle-aged man flew out from the warship. Aren't there 2 more who are going to come out? Let's compete and see who can kill more people. The faster we kill, the better. Old 17 laughed cruelly. You have to change your temperament. Back then, the old ancestors said that you are too bloodthirsty. Even after so many years of isolation, you still haven't gotten rid of it. Another middle-aged man shook his head and said, Everyone, we have always stood aloof from worldly affairs and have never offended outsiders. We have always lived in the wilderness without any grievances or hatred. Why are you all killing my clansmen and destroying my home? The village's 5th grandfather spoke. If my northern plains Wang family wants to kill people, do we need to give you a reason? Wang family's old 17 sneered. His hands were behind his back, and his black hair fluttered about. He was calm and callous. The old man sighed and said, My clansmen have always been simple and honest. They have never schemed against each other, nor have they ever killed and robbed others. You all came here and want to massacre the village. This is too much. So what if we bully you all? Old 17 said indifferently. He didn't care at all. Wang family's old 13 said, Forget it, I'll let you all know the truth. Dongfang Yi came from your village, right? He provoked someone he shouldn't have provoked. He walked together with the divine physique and became our clan's enemy. Your entire village will use blood to atone for his sins. Even if he became your enemy, you shouldn't vent your anger on our village. There are too many innocent people. Those few years old children, what do they know? Could it be that you all want to kill them all? The village's fifth grandfather said. Hand over your scriptures and I'll leave your corpses intact. Otherwise, there won't be any corpses left. You all will suffer endless torture. In the sky, a cold and eerie voice came from the largest warship. A small tribe like ours that stands aloof from worldly affairs, living in the desolate forest all year round, actually encountered such a disaster. It seems like the world has truly become chaotic. The village's fifth grandfather sighed. Then his eyes became fierce as he said, everyone will die one day. My clan will use blood to prove our will. There are no cowards. At worst, we'll all die in battle. Fight. Even if we all die in battle, we'll stake it all against them. Below, in the ancient village, regardless of whether they were men or women, they all roared loudly. Even the 3-year-old children brandished their small wooden clubs. Their eyes were full of unyielding determination. Our clan has never had a coward. At worst, we'll all die in battle and stake it all against them. In the distance, between the cliffs, 2 elders rushed into the sky and quickly flew over. Barren mountains and unruly rivers have many unruly people. It really is like this. Only in this type of uncivilized place would the people be so valiant. Wang family's old 13 sneered. It really isn't simple. A small village produced 3 great experts. It really is terrifying. Fortunately, we made sufficient preparations. Otherwise, we might have suffered a bit. Let's do it, don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all and massacre this village. As for the saints' ancient scriptures, it's enough to leave behind an old fart's primordial spirit. Finally, Wang family's people were going to take action. Thunder rumbled in the skies. Apart from the 7 warships, there were also several dozen war chariots, all of them filled with cultivators. Meanwhile, in those empty spaces, there were many experts floating in midair. The skies were densely packed, human figures everywhere. Dark clouds roiled, war drums deafening. This sky dome was about to split apart. Banners fluttered, savage beasts roared, iron clothes flickered about, as if 100,000 heavenly soldiers descended. A type of boundless aura surged, killing intent engulfing all directions like a sea, drowning out the entire ancient mountain range. In the distance, there were cultivators watching the battle. They were all shocked. Northern Plains' Wang family actually brought out such a great force. They truly came to wipe out the entire clan, not wishing to let a single person go. 7 warships. This signified that Northern Plains' Wang family had 7 individuals with terrifyingly high statuses who came here. At the very least, they were extremely powerful great experts. To muster up such a large force, move out so many war chariots and experts, all for the sake of wiping out a small tribe, this was a rarely seen action in recent years. Inside the ancient village, 5th grandfather's blood dyed the skies. After being attacked by the 2 warships for a long time, he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. His patched-hemp clothes turned into ashes, and he fell down. 5th grandfather. Many people in the village cried out in grief. Even the 2 or 3-year-old children clenched their fists, their eyes filled with tears. The 9th grandfather in the village also suffered serious injuries. Struck down by the 2 warships, his body almost penetrated. Not only were there 2 terrifying great figures' divine techniques, there were also the attacks of the 2 warships' terrifying formation patterns. Blood dyed the skies. This grizzled-haired elder also coughed out blood and fell down. They indeed had powerful fighting strength, but what could they do? The sky was sealed, becoming a cage. Moreover, there were many experts here, so the 3 elders weren't their opponents. Only the 7th grandfather was still holding on. He suffered several heavy attacks, but there was a divine jade clothes on his body that was extremely sturdy, able to block attacks, preventing him from being penetrated. Stake it all, stake it all against them. The entire ancient village, men, women, young and old, all shouted loudly. All of their expressions were furious as they supported the two elders who fell into pools of blood. Those who could fly carried them out of the encirclement. Even the little children who were carried on the backs of adults were crying and shouting, "Stake it all against them, get revenge for our ancestors." Woo, we're going to stake it all against them. A few little girls were like this as well. They held weapons in their hands, crying and shouting on their parents' bodies. In this ancient village, no one feared death. They revealed unwavering expressions, wishing to perish together with the others. They rushed into the sky together. Everyone was of one mind, viewing death as a return home. They were all fearless and incomparably tragic. Even if the entire village died in battle, not a single one of them would surrender and beg for forgiveness. A group of uncivilized primitive people, truly not knowing the difference between life and death. Since you all want to die, then I'll help you all out. Wang family's old 17 laughed coldly again and again. At this moment he already had his hands free. A hand pressed downwards, about to shatter everyone. The seventh grandfather in the ancient village released an angry roar. He flew over, risking a strike on his back to exchange a palm with him. However, 3 warships immediately suppressed down. This wasn't only the attacks of 3 terrifying great figures, but also the divine might of the ancient ships, their power superimposing. Seventh grandfather was also bleeding in the end, seriously injured and on the verge of death. He fell from the sky, his hair and beard all standing on end, full of grief and indignation. Grandfather! Ancestor! The people in the ancient village all cried out in grief. Those who could fly, men, women, old, and young all flew towards the sky like moths flying into a flame. Northern Plains Wang family's people were cold and emotionless. Several great figures, as well as the cultivators on the war chariots, as well as the experts in the sky, all of them took action, suppressing downwards together. They were going to massacre the ancient village, wipe out everyone. Fifth grandfather, seventh grandfather, and ninth grandfather roared towards the sky, blood flowing out from the corners of their eyes. They passed over their clansmen, using their injured bodies to forcefully rush up. They produced a barrier of light, blocking the destructive attacks. A remote and desolate place produces barbarians. You group of savages truly don't fear death. I'll help you all out. Today we will purge everything with blood. From now on, not even a blade of grass will grow here. Northern Plains Wang family's old 17 said cruelly. In the sky, 8 warships, dozens of war chariots, as well as the iron clothes of Wang family's experts that covered the sky flickered with cold light, suppressing downwards. The barrier of light the 3 elders in the ancient village raised by burning their lifespans couldn't stop this power at all, on the verge of shattering. Men, women, old and young, everyone's eyes were filled with tears, but they were all full of unyielding will. All of you should just die. Wang family's people sneered. The people below were all in despair, carrying unwillingness and unyielding will. They really wanted to drag a few enemies down with them, but they couldn't do it. They were full of resentment. Big Brother Dongfang will get revenge for us. Several little children cried and shouted. Northern Plains Wang family's people, die for me. Suddenly, a sky-shocking thunderclap sounded from the distance. This great roar shattered a mountain range. A human figure carried sky-covering golden blood energy as he threw himself over, fast to the extreme. In the distance, all of the spectators were horrified. They immediately backed up, running as far as they could, fleeing for their lives. It was because the one who came was too terrifying. His entire body's golden blood energy was like a sea, drowning out the entire mountain range, surging over like a sea. A long roar sounded, arriving in the blink of an eye. The incoming person's speed made people's hair stand on end. In the sky, a large golden foot immediately crushed Wang family's old 17th warship. Then, a large golden hand reached down, and like grabbing a little chick, it grabbed his neck single-handedly and lifted him high into the sky. Wang family's people, all of you should just die for me. The incoming person roared. It was unknown how many Wang family's experts in the sky were directly crushed by the roar. Bloody mists appeared one after another. A single roar shattered mountains and rivers. But Yi Fan didn't kill Wang family's old 17th on the spot. Instead, he gave him a big slap on the face, directly sending his lower jaw flying. It left his body and shattered in the sky. Chapter 758. Yi Fan was infuriated. Golden blood energy surged around his body and arrived in an instant. Looking from afar, it was as if the entire place was drowned by the sea. "Who are you?" Old 17th's jaw was sent flying by Yi Fan's slap and shattered in the air. At this moment, he couldn't bear the pain and asked angrily with his divine sense. Yi Fan hated this group of people to the core. If he was one step late, this village would no longer exist. Be it the old or the young, even the crying babies, they would all be massacred. His heart was burning with anger. Pow! He did not say anything else and swung his palm again. This time, the upper jaw of Northern Plains Wang tribe's old 17th was also smashed. The intense pain caused him to scream, non-stop, like a wounded beast. This time, it was old 17th's turn to be embarrassed. Just like how he didn't care about the people of the ancient village, the newcomer also didn't care about him and slapped his face. Although his jaw was slapped away, his throat was still there. He screamed in pain with a twisted expression. He had been in closed-door training for more than 10 years and had never seen Yi Fan before. He didn't expect to be humiliated like this. Old 17th. In the distance, Lord 13 of the Wang clan shouted in fear. He rode a mountain-like battleship and rushed over. Dao patterns interweaved and pressed down on Yi Fan like a heavenly net. Divine light shot out from the battleship as if it could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. Yi Fan grabbed old 17th's neck with one hand as if he was grabbing a puppy. He took a step forward and took the initiative to fight back. His entire body was covered in golden blood energy. Then, he swung his other golden hand and smashed it down like a world millstone. In the sky, the sound of something shattering could be heard. Covering the sky with one hand. It was as if a 10,000-year-old ancient demon had escaped from the wilderness. His murderous aura filled the sky. That giant palm heavily slammed on the battleship, causing the fragments of the hull to scatter in all directions. It wasn't that the warship wasn't sturdy enough, and it wasn't that the divine patterns carved on it weren't profound enough. Rather, it was that the gigantic hand was too terrifying. It was like the palm of a deity that descended from the heavens, possessing an undying radiance that could shatter everything in this world. Northern Plains Wang tribe's 13th lord resisted with all his might. He spat out an inch-tall exquisite pagoda made from purple copper essence. It expanded with the wind and became hundreds of feet tall as it pressed forward. Bang! It was still unstoppable. Yi Fan's palm fell, and the purple copper pagoda was as vulnerable as the sandcastle. It was turned into rotten copper and fell from the sky. Northern Plains Wang clan's 13th lord roared and took out 36 weapons in succession. There were Heaven Luo umbrella, Sunlight mirror, Flying sword, Soul-capturing bell, and so on. Every single one of them had powerful divine might, but they were all useless. In the face of that huge golden hand, these weapons were no different from paper and were destroyed one by one. Northern Plains Wang clan's 13th lord was terrified. He no longer had the high-spirited attitude he had when he faced the ancient village. Right now, he was as anxious as a stray dog. When Yi Fan's giant hand grabbed him, he struck out 108 palm strikes in succession. Every strike caused the void to collapse, but in the end, both of his arms were broken. Bang! Yi Fan's giant hand closed and grabbed him in the center of his palm. His bones were broken on the spot, and blood flowed out from the gaps between his giant fingers. Northern Plains Wang clan's 13th lord screamed miserably. Everyone's hair stood on end as a layer of goosebumps appeared on their bodies. This was a supreme existence, but he was almost crushed to death by someone just like that. Yi Fan grabbed two major characters from Northern Plains Wang clan with one hand and didn't even treat them as a big deal. It was as if he was grabbing a cat or a dog, and he almost strangled them to death. Northern Plains Wang clan's people felt their hair stand on end. This type of demon king suddenly slaughtered his way over, making them all shiver from head to toe. It was as if he had entered an uninhabited land. Two great characters were turned into dead dogs in his hands. Below, the eyes of the ancient village's men, women, old, and young were filled with tears. They were all incredibly moved. Today they encountered a great disaster and were humiliated. Now, someone took action and helped them resolve their predicament, venting out their resentment. On another warship, there were people who stared at Yi Fan and revealed expressions of shock. They recognized him and simply didn't dare believe their own eyes. Not everyone was like Wang family's 17th and 13th lord who cultivated in isolation for many years. 12 years ago, there were people who personally participated in the battle to kill Yi Fan. This was especially the case during Ji family's final battle. Wang Teng died miserably and the family suffered a great defeat. There were people who were there at the scene. Even if Yi Fan turned into ashes, they still wouldn't forget him. To be able to recognize him, it could be said to be carved into their bones and hearts. It's him, it really is him. Those who participated in the battle back then were indescribably shocked. They couldn't believe everything, their bodies going cold. It's him, he actually returned. How did he do it? Even a major character from the Northern Plains Wang family had shock written all over his face. He involuntarily staggered backwards. Quickly retreat, everyone retreat. Immediately break out of the encirclement and rush out to tell the clansmen that the Saint Physique has returned. On a golden warship, a supreme expert gave a death order. He could sense how powerful Yi Fan was. He was definitely a character from the 8th minor step of the 2nd layer of Immortal Foundation. This was enough to make people tremble. Because once the Saint Physique reached this realm, no matter what kind of supreme expert or sect master it was, they would have no way to defend against it. Only those shocking geniuses with 7 or 8 limits might be able to barely put up a fight. However, when this supreme expert from the Wang family gave the order, Yi Fan also released a shout, completely suppressing the other party's voice. Tai! It was like the first heavenly sound of the universe's creation, piercing through heaven and earth, illuminating the origin of all beginnings, tearing apart the past, present, and future. A fiend god appeared behind him, standing there, exactly the same as him, exuding a pressure that shook the heavens and earth. In the past, when Yi Fan was trapped in the Ci, he tried to cultivate all the arts in the world. He had seen the 6-syllable incantation of Buddhism before, so he naturally wouldn't let it go. Behind him, that fiend god stood alone, chanting together with him. It was like a Tao sound transmitted from the ancient times. One could clearly see the golden sound waves sweeping out in all directions. Not manifesting a Buddha, only having oneself as supreme in one's heart. This was the conviction of those who wanted to prove their Tao unshakable. The ancient 6-syllable incantation of Buddhism had the power to split the heavens and earth. It contained boundless profundities, containing the great power, wisdom, and benevolence of the universe. Those who cultivated it to the highest level would be able to subdue deities in the heavens. Everywhere the sound waves passed, the densely packed figures in the sky were like dumplings thrown into boiling water. Crackling sounds rang out as they fell from the sky. Every single person's entire body cracked apart, primordial spirits shattered, their bodies and souls destroyed by Yi Fan's chanting. This was the incantation power Yi Fan derived from the 9 Secrets fighting character art, granting it a brand new divine might. This strand of divine sound was incomparably grand, the entire sky dome resonating with it. It was as if they arrived at the beginning of heaven and earth, everything possessing immeasurable mysteries. Several dozen ancient war chariots split apart one after another, great banners shattering one after another. Countless figures, the densely packed cultivators turned into dust, no longer existing. This was the power of a single roar from Yi Fan. The entire mountain range collapsed, only a single ancient village remaining unharmed. Everything else was being destroyed. In the distant horizon, all of the spectators had long withdrawn over 100 li in horror, not a single person daring to get close out of fear of being caught up in this. Hurry and retreat, the divine body has returned. Wang family's powerful figure roared out with everything he had, wishing to spread the news. However, under the "v" sound, it was like the soft cry of a mosquito, suppressed to the point where it couldn't be heard. Yi Fan's roar could shatter mountains and rivers. When everything calmed down, the sky was in complete disorder. There weren't many great banners, war chariots, and experts left. All of them had been blasted into pieces. Not long ago, dark clouds surged, war drums split the sky, and banners fluttered in the wind. It was as if 100,000 heavenly generals had descended, but now, it was completely silent. The invaders were like wheat being reaped, killed in large swathes. There weren't many people left, and even a few warships had large cracks on them. Northern Plains Wang family's people's faces were deathly pale. All of this was done by a single person, especially when they saw Old 17 and Grandpa 13 who were like dead dogs in his hands. They were filled with a sense of defeat, all of them trembling with fear. At this moment, they couldn't escape even if they wanted to. All directions were sealed off by divine source blocks, and the heavenly origin divine formation had turned this place into a cage. Pooh! At this moment, Yi Fan did something that made everyone from Wang family tremble with fear. He threw Old 17 and Grandpa 13 into midair, and then stomped them to death with 1 foot each, turning them into 2 lumps of bloody paste. These 2 great figures thought highly of themselves. Just now, they were pointing out the mountains and rivers, looking down on everyone. They didn't even spare the ancient village a glance, viewing them as primitive people who hadn't been civilized. Yet now, they died in such a useless manner, crushed into meat paste by someone's foot. Moreover, Yi Fan didn't care at all. It was as if he had just stepped on 2 weeds, not taking them to heart at all. The Wang family's people's anger surged into the heavens. These were 2 powerful figures, yet they were looked down on like this, dying without the slightest bit of dignity. Just now, they had also treated the people of the ancient village like this, looking down on them with disdain. Who would have thought that in just a short period of time, everything would happen to them? The faces of the Wang family's people all turned pale. Many youngsters were trembling. After knowing what kind of character this was, they were all incomparably terrified. Even though many years had passed, Yi Fan's achievements back then wouldn't be forgotten by anyone. He fought a bloody battle in the eastern wasteland, swept through the central continent, killed saint children, slayed saintesses, killed powerful experts, fought sect masters, entered the ancient forbidden land alone to prolong his life, and even resisted an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. After so many years had passed, just how powerful was this devil king-like existence? This made the younger generation of the Wang family tremble. On the 5 tattered warships, there was a great character standing. They were the ones with true authority in the Wang family, all of them powerful characters. However, right now, they were extremely uneasy and wanted nothing more than to immediately flee. Brother Yi, you really aren't kind. How come you've already cleaned them up? I even said that this would be the battle to make my name famous, to let the man desire orthodoxy's name shake the world, yet you stole the limelight. Leave the rest to us. Li Tian had an evil expression on his face. The Wang family's people were sullen. Who dared to look down on them like this? Yet today, they were humiliated again and again, causing everyone to tremble. The only thing we can do today is to kill them all. Yi Fan said calmly. He took action again, descending from the sky. A foot crushed an enormous warship, and a fist rushed out. Ancient treasures, flying swords, and other things shattered one after another. Countless people turned into bloody mist, all of them killed. What a pity, I won't miss the battle to make my name famous next time. Li Tian took action. Yen Ishi's white clothes fluttered about, walking like an exiled immortal. However, with each strike, large amounts of blood blossomed. This was a sky dyed in blood. An hour later, everything calmed down. The mountain ridge was in a state of desolation, blood stains everywhere, broken branches and withered leaves everywhere. The Wang family's invaders were all killed. Many thanks, little brother. The 5th, 7th, and 9th grandfathers of the village came up to express their thanks. The other villagers also surrounded him, expressing their thanks endlessly. The people here were all simple and honest. A few children even tugged on Yi Fan's sleeves, looking at him curiously. Dongfang Yi is an old friend of mine. Yi Fan didn't hide anything. The elders in the village were immediately dumbfounded, and then they sighed. They had already heard the news of Dongfang Ye's massacre in the eastern wasteland. I don't believe Yi is already dead. His talents are extraordinary, and his divine strength oppresses the world. He grew up eating wild dragons and tigers, and his life is extremely tough. He is definitely still alive. An elder said. Without his corpse, we can't be sure that he is dead. I will find him and bring him back. Yi Fan said. Had the divine physique returned? On this day, a piece of news spread throughout the southern mountains. After 12 years, Yi Fan had reappeared. Some people said that they had personally witnessed the scene of the divine physique's battle. Although they didn't dare to approach, that scene was undoubtedly him. However, not many people believed this. A person who had crossed the star domain and left for 12 years, it was impossible for him to appear again. The Wang family has gone too far. Since their master is in the southern mountains and is a guest of the demon imperial palace, there's no need for him to return. This time, if we want to fight, then let's turn the world upside down. Yi Fan stood in the mountain forest and gazed into the distance. Chapter 759. In the depths of the forest, a sturdy young man with a bare right arm and shoulder, wearing a beast skin battle robe and holding a wolf fang club, roared like a wounded beast and rushed towards the ancient village. Who dares to invade my village? He carried a wild dragon that was more than 10 feet long and stepped on the rocky cliffs as if he was walking on flat ground. He quickly arrived in front of the village. Yi Fan was startled. In a trance, he seemed to have seen the barbarian of the past. Looking from afar, this person was very similar to Dongfang Yi from 10 years ago. They were both wild and strong. Li Tian was strolling outside the village. Before he could figure out what was going on, this young man had already arrived in front of him. He stepped on the desolate ground and swung the wolf fang club with one hand while the other slapped forward. Just at this moment, Li Tian grimaced in pain. His entire arm was almost broken, and streaks of blood could be seen. Fortunately, he retreated quickly and dodged the attack without taking it head-on. Otherwise, half of his body would have been smashed to pieces. Man, don't be rude. This is our benefactor. The 5th and 7th grand uncle of the village quickly rushed over. Dongfang Man looked like he was in his 20s. The muscles on his naked upper body bulged like a horned dragon. His skin was bronze in color, and he looked strong and powerful. His thick black hair fell to his waist, giving him a kind of wild masculine beauty. Is this Dongfang Ye's younger brother? Yi Fan also came forward and looked at the young man in front of him. He was really too similar to an old friend. He looks like an ancient beast that has taken human form. Li Tian bared his teeth. His strength was extraordinary and could look down on all the Saint Lords. However, in a battle of flesh, he was completely defeated by this barbarian. This was naturally a misunderstanding. Dongfang Man went out to hunt and heard that something happened in the village. He came back with red eyes and met Li Tian, mistaking him for an enemy. In the ancient village, Dongfang Yi and Dongfang Man were a pair of different people. They had the extremely rare primordial battle blood and had the strength to pull out mountains. Their flesh was far beyond that of ordinary people. Other than the Saint Lords, no one could compare to them. The two brothers cultivated the same cultivation technique and grew up in the same environment. Usually, they would wander deep in the mountains and forests. Once they would walk for 10 days to half a month, devouring wild dragons and fierce tigers. Eventually, they managed to cultivate the barbarian martial divine technique. A red mist flashed in Yi Fan's hand, and a battle spear made of polished blood diamond appeared. 9 lifelike dragons coiled around the spear's shaft. The 9 dragon heads gathered at the front, and together, they spat out a sharp and crystal-clear spearhead. Dongfang Man was very embarrassed. He scratched his head and went forward to apologize. Then, he received this precious gift with great fondness. The elders in the village all cried out in alarm. They were all knowledgeable people. This gift was too heavy. This weapon was forged from the blood diamond of the 9 heavens divine jade, and it was the first choice for forging a king's weapon. It could grow into a saint's weapon, and it was sturdy and indestructible. Yi Fan had taken it from the nine-headed dragon king in the Ziwei segmentum. I will avenge my elder brother and kill that Zi Tiandu. Dongfang man swore with disheveled hair. I believe that you won't die. In the village, the seventh granduncle had a trace of sadness in his eyes. This barbarian was personally trained by him. We can't stay here any longer. Perhaps it's time to return to the clan, the fifth granduncle said. In the depths of this mountain range, there was an ancient clan. They were the descendants of a few ancient saints. The clansmen were all very powerful and valiant. They cultivated the ancient barbaric martial scripture, and it was a terrifying clan that was unknown to the world. This small village was originally a part of this clan, but because of a dispute several generations ago, they separated from the clan. The large clan had invited them back many times. Roar, a long roar came from afar, and even the mountains were trembling. 7 or 8 old men with messy hair, and their upper bodies were bare. They wore beast skin clothes, and they were either carrying wolf-tooth clubs or waving big axes. They roared and rushed over like a group of demonic gods. The entire mountain range was about to collapse. Motherf asterisk cur, where did these bastards come from to bully our clansmen? Come out and die for me. Where are all of you? We're here, hurry up and come out. You dare to bully our clansmen? We'll pull off your heads and kick them around like balls. This was a group of extremely valiant old men. They were even more vigorous than young men, and it was as if a million-strong army was slaughtering their way over. This was clearly a group of barbarians. Judging from their attire, they were similar to the villagers here, but they were even more unrestrained. Each and every one of them blew their beards and glared as they cried out strangely. Just now, they were still talking about that ancient tribe. Who would have thought that they would rush over at this time? Each and every one of them had disheveled hair, and they looked incomparably wild. This made Li Tian and Yan Ishi dumbstruck. This group of old men were too valiant. They waved their clubs and shouted strangely like ancient war gods. Where are all of you? Where are those bastards? We're here to kill people. Where the hell did they all go? The group of old men shouted and screamed. The people in the ancient village were all very moved. Even the eyes of the fifth granduncle, seventh granduncle, and the other elders were red. They were determined to return to the clan. Little 5, little 7, little 9, it's not that I want to criticize you guys, but can our clan be bullied to this extent? Those bastards dared to come and kill us. They're purely tired of living. This matter isn't over yet. Even if it's the Central Continent's divine dynasty, we'll still overturn them this time. Right, kill them, beat them until even the yolk in their balls comes out. The 7 or 8 old men that rushed over were all wild and wild, scaring the younger generation into a daze. All of them were incomparably bold and unrestrained. We've received news that our butts are on fire. There's still a large group of people behind us. Tell us, which group of blind bastards did this? Today we'll rush over and kill them all. We won't leave a single one alive. Not to mention the people of the ancient village, even Yi Fan, Yan Ishi, and Li Tian felt very warm in their hearts. Their blood was boiling. Although this group of old men was very wild, they were truly sincere and there was no barrier between them. Kill. Where are the bastards? Don't let a single one go. Kill. All of a sudden, the mountains and plains were filled with people. It was as if there were groups of great demons that could summon the wind and summon the rain, plucking the stars and capturing the moon. The universe was shaken. Countless barbarian cultivators, dressed in animal skins and holding large clubs, rushed over from all directions. The sky was filled with them, and their powerful aura caused the mountains to tremble. It was incomparably frightening. Seeing this scene, even Yi Fan's scalp went numb. This was a group of barbarian warriors that had survived from ancient times. When they gathered together, it was too terrifying. That kind of battle spirit shot straight into the sky, shattering the clouds in all directions. Any expert who saw it would tremble in fear. Li Tian's scalp went numb, and goosebumps appeared all over his body. He felt extremely guilty. He poked Yi Fan and whispered, I say, the people of the northern Dipper Galaxy are too abnormal. If a primitive tribe is so powerful, how can I live in the world? How can I spread my teachings? I might as well stay in the Z-Way segmentum. These people are really a group of living ancestors. What primitive tribe? In ancient times, the entire southern mountains was the world of our barbarian race. If it wasn't for our ancestors' order to live in seclusion in the mountains, who would we be afraid of? An old man with messy hair said with his eyes wide open. The muscles on his body bulged like wild dragons as he held a large club. It was unknown how many people had killed their way here. The people of the ancient village couldn't help but tear up. This was because blood was thicker than water. It was inevitable for them to return to the tribe. After so many years, the tribe finally had 2 treasures with ancient battle blood. They are both in your village. They should have returned to the tribe long ago. An old man began to scold the 5th and 7th uncles of the village. He almost spat out a mouthful of dog blood. However, his eyes were passionate as he held Dongfang Man's hand. That kind of love and care made people's hair stand on end. The barbarian's younger brother felt very uncomfortable. "Where's your brother?" A group of old men asked Dongfang Man. "My brother might have died in battle a few months ago," Dongfang Man whispered. "Motherf asterisk her, who did it? Is it that group of bastards just now? Gather your men and go F asterisk CK them up. We lived in seclusion in the mountains, isolated from the outside world and stood aloof from worldly affairs, yet we were bullied to this extent. Beat them to death, F asterisk CK them up." The group of old men immediately became anxious. They waved their big sticks and almost pierced through the sky. "How many generations has it been? We finally had 2 treasures with ancient battle blood. Such a rare physique, yet one of them died. F asterisk CK their ancestors. Valiant, wild, domineering, unrestrained. This group of old men were like the reincarnation of ancient battle gods. The people of the ancient village were originally estranged from the primitive tribe. However, at this moment, the estrangement was gone with the wind and they were going to become one again. "We have lived in seclusion for too long and were completely isolated from the outside world. We didn't even know such a big thing had happened. We have let down our ancestors." The barbarian old men beat their chests and stamped their feet in indignation. After knowing that it was done by the Wang tribe, they immediately made a decision to kill their way over. F asterisk CK them to death. Dig 3 feet into the ground, even a little mouse that didn't open its eyes was trampled to death. They actually dared to bully our clansmen. F asterisk CK them, immediately take action. Gather all the experts of the tribe and exterminate them. Even the egg yolk is gone. What dogs hit Wang tribe? What immortal inheritance? Overturn and kill them all. Li Tian was speechless. A group of fierce people. Motherf asterisk her, even my blood is boiling. I really want to kill my way over. These old men are too ferocious. Since the old men want to take action and send troops to the northern plains, I am willing to go through fire and water to kill at the very front. Yi Fan expressed his stance. Then he brought up his own opinion. Since they really wanted to deal with the Wang tribe, they had to make ample preparations. After all, this was a desolate ancient family that had produced the human race's great sage. They had an ancient inheritance and were incomparably terrifying. This little brother is right. If we want to kill, then we should kill them all. Didn't they want to massacre our clansmen? This time, we should take our time to think about it. We will completely exterminate this bastard clan. An old man said. Although they were bold and unrestrained, they were not reckless. After living for so many years, most of their eyelashes were empty, so what could they not understand? Right, we should plan well and kill them all in one battle. Another old man waved his stone axe and said. Yi Fan said, "Old men, your tribes are isolated from the world. Now is the best time to prepare. I will go to the outside world to attract their attention. When everything is ready, we will kill our way into the northern plains like a divine general and exterminate the Wang tribe." "Little brother, what are you going to do?" an old man asked. Yi Fan said, "The Wang tribe leader came to the southern mountains and is a guest in the demonic imperial palace. I am going to kill him." "What? This bastard leader is in our southern mountains?" The demonic imperial palace is a very scary place. Immediately gather people to chop him alive. These people immediately shouted and couldn't sit still anymore. It's just a mere Wang tribe leader. There is no need for all the seniors to make a move. I alone will be enough to take his head, Yi Fan said resolutely and forcefully. Good, heroes come from the young. Old men, just gather your men and prepare to enter the northern plains to exterminate the Wang tribe. I will go take the head of the Wang tribe leader. Yi Fan left after he finished speaking and went to the demonic imperial palace alone. Damn it, my battle blood is also boiling. This time, it's finally my turn to go on the stage. I will also fight my way into the northern plains. However, first, I have to follow Brat Yi to the demonic imperial palace to kill people. Li Tian shouted. Chapter 760. In the southern mountains, there were groups of high mountains and ridges. As far as the eye could see, there was a vast expanse of mountains and ridges everywhere. On this boundless land, there were almost no plains. This special terrain had been like this since ancient times. This was also the reason why there were many miasma, wild beasts, and strange birds roaming about. The demons of the southern mountains far surpassed the other 4 regions of the central plains and the eastern wasteland. This was something everyone knew. That was why the southern demons often called the cultivators of the south. Yi Fan's group left the barbarian tribe and flew for several days before finding an ancient transportation matrix on a mountain. They crossed a long distance and entered a relatively densely populated area. That girl is so pretty. Along the way, Li Tian constantly commented and stopped when he saw a beautiful girl. They heard many rumors as soon as they arrived at a populated area. Many people were talking about the reappearance of the Saint Physique. The Wang family of the northern plains came to conquer an ancient village but was completely annihilated. This caused a great commotion and people were discussing it. Many people found it unbelievable. Did you guys see wrongly? How could it be the Saint Physique from 12 years ago? He has already stepped onto the ancient path of the stars. It's impossible for him to appear in this world. That battle was too terrifying. The golden blood chi drowned the mountain ridges and shattered the mountains and rivers with one roar. I think that person has really returned and is far stronger than before. If it's really him, the world will be in chaos and the flames of war will reach the sky. He won't give up so easily. An inaccurate rumor caused a great uproar. Even the cultivators of some small towns were discussing it. This made Li Tian secretly speechless. Brat Yi, you're quite popular on this ancient planet. You've been gone for 12 years and people are still talking about you. Yi Fan said, let's find a famous city and learn more about the current situation. Then, we'll go to the demonic king's palace. It was impossible to have a flat plain in the southern mountains. The cities were all built along the mountains, and there were even mountains in the cities. It was very strange because there was no flat land. Phoenix City was a super city in the southern mountains. A city that dared to have such a name was definitely an important city. It was impossible for it to be built according to rules. It was separated by mountains and ridges, and the city walls extended continuously like a phoenix's nest. It looked quite strange, and there was even a small mountain in the city that looked like a coiled phoenix. Phoenix City streets were packed with endless streams of horses and carriages, streams of people coming and going without end. It was incomparably bustling, the sounds of buying and selling rose and fell in succession. Mortals, cultivators, and demons mixed together, becoming a common sight. In this city, people wouldn't be surprised even if they saw a strange creature with a dog's head, a human's body, and a pair of wings on its back because there were too many members of the Southridge demon clan. That seductress is truly enchanting. She is a 9-tailed celestial fox. Her waist is too slender, and her eyes are so charming that it makes one want to be intoxicated. As soon as he arrived at Phoenix City, Li Tian began to look around. The Fiend Imperial Palace wasn't too far from this place. It was located in an ancient vein, an immortal land that made countless cultivators feel reverence. Yi Fan wanted to understand the situation and then immediately rush over to kill the leader of Northern Plains Wang tribe, Wang Chengkun. If he succeeded, it would definitely be a great shock. Although the world was in chaos now, if the leader of a clan of the ancients were to die, it would still be enough to shock the world. This old brat is truly afraid of death. He brought so many people with him, yet he's so careful in the Southridge, Li Tian said. They had learned a lot of valuable information in Phoenix City. Wang Chengkuan went to the Fiend Imperial Palace as a guest in order to rope in a great demon and form an alliance with them. There's the shadow of the ancient race behind him. This is a very bad sign. No wonder the Wang tribe is so domineering and fearless. Yi Fan frowned. This time, many people from the Wang tribe came to the Southridge to participate in a sacrificial ceremony of the demon clan. It was rumored that there might be the shadow of a certain ancient race hidden in the shadows. Is it that race from the Valley of Gods? I wonder if their young master has come. If he is, then I'll kill him as well. Yi Fan's eyes were sharp. He had already learned that Dongfang Yi had been chased by Zi Tiandu and had fallen from the Eagle Cliff with hatred. His blood dyed the stone walls red, and the outsiders only heard his last unwilling roar. In Phoenix City, the most discussed topic was the bloody battle at the barbarian tribe. Many people were discussing it incessantly. The Wang tribe had crossed over from the northern plains to the Southridge. Such a domineering move against a small village aroused the dissatisfaction of many people. Crossing regions to exterminate a clan was truly tyrannical. After learning that they had suffered a great defeat and that not a single person had escaped, the people were even more shocked. That day, many people were watching the battle, but no one dared to approach. They were shocked by Yi Fan's might and could only watch from 100 miles away. They couldn't see his true appearance. And it was precisely because of this that people couldn't be sure whether it was him or not. Crossing star domains and leaving this world, it's destined to be difficult for him to appear again. What a pity, the divine physique has left in the end. Otherwise, with his current cultivation realm, he might be able to run amok. In the end, the conclusion of the people's discussion was that it shouldn't be Yi Fan. Rather, someone had purposely impersonated him to confuse the people. A few great sects speculated that someone wanted to stir up the situation, thus allowing the divine physique to come into being again. They had ulterior motives. After all, crossing star domains was a method that only the ancient great emperors and the ancient great sage could do. Yi Fan didn't have such an ability, so it was impossible for him to return after leaving unless there was a miracle. But because of this, people recalled Yi Fan's past. Many people sighed with regret. If he was still here, just what kind of might would he have? Perhaps he could compete with Fire Qilin, Phoenix Void Dao, Yuan Gu, the Heavenly Prince, and the Divine Silkworm Taoist. AI, it's good that he left. At least someone from our human race hasn't been defeated yet, leaving behind a bit of dignity. Yen Ishi found it hard to calm down as he listened to the discussions of the people in Phoenix City. Were the many young experts of the ancient races really so terrifying? Li Tian said, "Why do I feel more and more strange the more I hear? With so many ruthless people, will there still be a day when I, divine child Li Tian, will rule the world? How will my human desire orthodoxy flourish?" The demonic imperial palace was an extremely ancient place. It was difficult to verify how long it had existed. The people of the world only knew that it had experienced an extremely long period of time and remained immortal. It was the sacred palace in the hearts of the Southern Mountains demonic race. It was a place of reverence and divinity. According to the incomplete records of demonic texts, it might have been personally built by a demonic race saint emperor. Towering mountains, giant trees, and old trees propped up the sky. This was a verdant and precipitous mountain range. In the depths of this ancient mountain range was the sacred land of the demonic race. Under normal circumstances, those who dared to trespass would be killed without question. No one dared to take a single step inside. Only when some ancient sacrificial ceremonies were being held or when there were some important celebrations would it be open to allow the various demonic clans to enter. Of course, the esteemed guests among the human cultivators could also take advantage of this opportunity to see its true appearance and understand this mysterious ancient land. Yi Fan's group of 3 used a large divine source to exchange for an invitation in private. They entered this mountain range with the identity of esteemed guests. The mountain range was very peaceful. It was unknown how many years these giant trees had grown for. They were even taller than the mountain peaks and were covered in green. There were even more ancient vines that were terrifyingly thick. They were like horned dragons that crawled all over the mountain range. One couldn't fly in this place and could only ascend on foot. The various demonic clans in particular needed to advance with the mentality of a pilgrimage. It was very cool under the shade of the trees. The stone steps were ancient, and as they advanced step by step, one could feel the sedimentation of time and the accumulation of time. They finally arrived at the deepest part of the mountain range. Ancient pines accompanied them and palaces stretched across the land. Before they even got close, a wave of boundless demonic energy covered the sky and earth as if it had arrived from the ancient era. This was a wave of indescribable might. This palace wasn't that vast, but it was as if it was suspended high up in the 9 heavens. Strand after strand of world-splitting aura descended, suppressing the entire great world. Yi Fan sighed. The legendary demonic emperor was definitely real and not a made-up character. Unless it was an ancient great emperor, there was no way he could leave behind a palace like this. When they arrived here, the number of people immediately increased. There were great demons that had come on a pilgrimage, as well as human sect masters. However, there weren't many who spoke in fear of disturbing the tranquility and holiness of this place. The arrival of Yi Fan and the others didn't cause much of a commotion. This ancient star was truly too big, and there weren't that many people who had seen it in the past. There was a demon child serving them and leading them into an ancient palace. The demonic race wouldn't offend them, and their etiquette was very good. The ancient palace at the center was the most special. It was submerged in terrifying demonic energy and couldn't be seen in its entirety. There was the aura of an ancient demonic emperor, and it was as if there was someone sleeping inside. Everyone had to stop. Apart from a few members of the demonic race, no one else was allowed to enter. The astonishing aura seemed to be able to cut through the 3,000 great worlds, and it made people immediately associate it with the legendary demonic imperial palace. It was majestic and grand, just like the legendary ancient heaven. Yi Fan and the others entered a palace that wasn't far from the demonic imperial palace. It was incomparably majestic and enormous, and it had no problem accommodating over 10,000 people. It was very obvious that it was branded with the laws of space. Experts were sitting cross-legged behind white jade tables. Fruits and immortal brews had long since been placed on the table. There were many people in the palace, and they all had their own seats. They were all great demons of an area, and there were even some shockingly old ancient demons. Of course, there was no lack of human sect master-level characters. The cultivators that could enter this place were all people with monstrous authority. Every one of them was a sovereign of an area. Sect masters, elders, demon lords, terrifying unaffiliated people, imperial lords, and holy monks all possessed great authority. Many people were discussing. Some were exchanging pointers on their cultivation experiences, some were talking about ancient secrets, and there were also some who were talking about current affairs. Yi Fan and the others chose a corner to sit down. They didn't say anything, and all of them were listening attentively. At the same time, they were searching for the clan master of the Northern Plains' ancient aristocratic families, Wang Qingkuan. And today, the Southern Mountains demon tribe is flourishing day by day. It's truly worthy of celebration. Especially the younger generation, there are even more experts emerging. It's truly enviable. A human sect master said respectfully. That's right. If we're talking about the number one of the younger generation, I'm afraid it's none other than the Southern Demon. Another living fossil said, the human race is the true main character of this world. Stunning characters are appearing one after another. How can our demon race compare? An ancient demon said humbly, the human race is indeed full of experts. Let's not talk about the ancient and dazzling Central Emperor, everyone knows about it. There are even more people rising up one after another, making people sigh in admiration. That's right. The Yaoguang Saint Child who rose up later truly has a proud bearing. Who can resist him? One day he will definitely be unparalleled under the heavens. There's also Hua Yunfei. Now, even we have to avoid him. He has cultivated the heaven-devouring demonic art, and no one dares to provoke him anymore. It really makes one sigh helplessly. That's right. We can list out a few such people. Xia Jiuyo, who has cultivated the tribulation transcendence immortal song, the Eastern Wasteland's divine king physique Ji Haoyue, and that mysterious woman with the Khanate Dao fetus. Sai, the ancient race is also very terrifying. Huang Shudao, Yuan Gu, divine silkworm Taoist, and the others truly make my generation tremble. Right at this moment, someone spoke up. Brother Wang, your son North deity has been reborn from destruction. He should have the qualifications to become number one in the world, right? Everyone looked towards a black-haired middle-aged man. He twirled his beard and said, "My son has been reborn from destruction. He can indeed look down on the world, but he is filled with regret. He wants to kill that saint physique, but there's no way. He can only hate that he escaped from this world." Chapter 761. My son is Wang Teng. In the past, Pang Bo had teased him because of these words. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years passed. His old friend was no longer here, yet he heard their grievous news. Right now, Yi Fan saw Wang family lord again, and when he heard these words, he sneered inwardly. Brother Wang raised a good son, not only obtaining the inheritance of the ancient chaos great emperor, he also obtained the unmatched void secret, rarely seen since ancient times. I've never heard of someone cultivating two types of perfect scriptures at the same time. When Wang Chengkuan heard this type of praise, his face was naturally full of smiles. What he was most proud of was his eldest son. Despite his young age, his cultivation already allowed him to look down on the world, possessing rare great luck. Back then, when he competed for the position of clan lord, he didn't have the slightest advantage. Everything was because his son was already outstanding when he was young, and in the end, the clan's old ancestor chose him. Speaking of which, the divine body's departure truly is a type of regret. Wang family's worthy nephew wouldn't have left behind any thoughts, right? If he couldn't verify the Tao because of this, then that would truly be regretful. An old monster said. Wang Chengkuan said, "What a pity he fled this world, or else his blood would have definitely splashed over my son's battle robes, his head separated from his body." Everyone knows that worthy nephew Wang Teng's heaven-warping aptitude is unparalleled. This old one and the others are all going to withdraw. The current world belongs to them. In the battle back then, Wang Teng's death wasn't because his strength was lacking. This was something everyone knew. Right now, in front of the Wang family, no one said anything unpleasant, all of them saying some flattering words. This old fella really is thick-skinned, really treating his son as a future emperor. A defeat is a defeat, there's no need to cover it up. Li Tian said with disdain. Yi Fan didn't say anything. This was the demon race's sacred land, they couldn't take action here, or else they would offend all of the demon clans in the southern mountains range. Brother Wang, there are quite a few rumors outside, saying that your clan attacked an ancient village and was completely wiped out. I wonder if this is true? Finally, someone brought up this issue. This was something many people wanted to know. Nothing could be seen from Wang Chengkuan's face, but his eyes carried a bit of malice. Some clansmen were harmed by thieves, but it isn't worth worrying about. In the future, my clan will flatten that mountain ridge, not even a blade of grass will grow there. Where there were people, there would be Jianghu. Where there was Jianghu, there would be gratitude and grudges. Life was inevitable. Naturally, there were also many big shots who didn't like the Wang family. Someone secretly ridiculed. I heard that the divine physique has appeared again. The battle in the mountains was all done by him alone. He single-handedly killed everyone in the Wang family. I wonder if it's true or not. Although it wasn't overly sarcastic, it was still very piercing to the ears. Wang Chengkuan's expression immediately froze and he said, "My clan was actually looking forward to the return of that surnamed Yi. We wanted to kill him and take his divine blood to refine medicine, but unfortunately, that coward ran away. The battle in the deep mountains was just someone impersonating him to mess up the situation. Their intentions are sinister." Li Tian nudged Yi Fan and said, "This old brat is really not a good thing. Even a wild boar can't bite through his thick skin. No matter what, his son was defeated in the past, so why is he always slandering you?" Many cultivators came to the ancient watchtower, and most of them were big shots of the demon race. There were also many human sect masters, and they all had their own opinions about the battle of the barbarian tribes. There were all kinds of opinions, but most of them didn't think that Yi Fan could return. In this place, apart from the big shots, there were also their descendants. They were all the most stunning inheritors, or else they wouldn't be able to step foot in this place. These young and handsome men and beautiful women were brought here. One reason was to broaden their horizons, and the second was to compete with each other. What did I see? A demoness that can turn all living things upside down, so beautiful that it makes one suffocate. I really wonder if she's Yi Qingwu's sister. How can she be so beautiful? Li Tian's saliva almost flowed out, and he gulped down a large cup of wine. The young men and women were also discussing spiritedly, discussing the Tao and comparing notes. There were even some who were secretly competing with each other. Among them, there was a woman who was especially eye-catching, like a divine pearl in the sea, dazzling. It was Qi Huashui. Many years had passed, and Nan Yao's younger sister had become even more beautiful. Her skin was snow-white and delicate, and her black hair was as shiny as silk. She was graceful and moving, and she was not far away. Qi Huashui was very sensitive to this kind of gaze. She turned around and glared at Li Tian, but then she was stunned again, and the jade cup in her hand almost fell to the ground. She almost didn't dare to believe her own eyes. A person who had disappeared for 12 years had appeared again. She immediately thought of the rumors that the saint physique of the barbarian tribes in the wilderness was not fake, but real. The saint physique has returned. Qi Huashui knew that there would be great chaos today. Since Yi Fan dared to appear here, he definitely wouldn't be kind. He had definitely come to kill. This kind of beauty who could bring about the downfall of a country had a different kind of moving charm when she was temporarily absent-minded, and many people were stunned. It could be seen that Wang Qingquan hated Yi Fan to the bone. Whenever he was mentioned, he would either step on or mock him, as if he couldn't even compare to one of his son's toes. This old brat, it's a fact that his son lost to you back then. It's fine if he tries to cover it up, but what's there to show off? Let's leave the demon imperial palace in a while and fight to the death, Li Tian said. From the beginning to the end, Yi Fan didn't say a single word. He was as steady as Mount Tai. Not long after, he even stood up and left the ancient watchtower, walking out. That was because Li Tian had walked over and provoked the royal family in a very ostentatious manner. He announced that he was the sect master of the path of carnal desires. It could be assumed that after he left the demon imperial palace, the people of the Wang family would definitely intercept and kill him. Yi Fan followed the ancient bluestone path and walked out of the depths of the mountain step by step. No one could fly here, so he admired the scenery along the way, which amazed many disciples of the demonic race. He was one with heaven and earth, one with the mountains and rivers. Every step he took was very rhythmic, and there was a kind of Tao that would never change circulating around him. It was indescribably transcendent. Yi Fan stood outside the mountain and gazed into the distance. He didn't move for a long time, and even the birds regarded him as a piece of vine wood and landed on his shoulder. The red sun moved towards the west. A bell sound rang through the air, and many cultivators descended the mountain one after another. When they saw him, they didn't pay him any attention. After a period of time, Northern Plains Wang family appeared. These people all had profound magical force, and they were all powerful beings. They stood side by side, and there were actually 8 of them. They were prepared to intercept and kill Li Tian here. Everyone stopped, all of them shocked. Northern Plains Wang family was terrifying after all. Including the 7 powerful beings that died in the barbarian tribes, a total of 15 great figures came to the southern mountains range. How many powerful beings could a single family send out? So many of them came at once. It truly didn't make sense. There are a few archaic creatures among them in disguise. There were ancient fiends and human race sect masters who cultivated the heavenly eye and saw through the mysteries within. They spoke like this. Wang family's people had long become impatient. They wanted to get rid of Li Tian as soon as possible, but they never expected that this bastard wouldn't even move after seeing the beauties. He didn't come out at all, making them feel annoyed. Suddenly, Wang Chengquan and the others were shocked. They felt a wave of undisguised killing intent. A middle-aged male with disheveled hair was currently walking over step by step. He actually became one with the pulse of heaven and earth, pressing towards all of them. "Who are you? What do you want to do?" A Wang family's elder shouted. "I'm the one who will kill you." Yi Fan's black hair wasn't messy, but it covered half of his face. There was also a layer of mist curling around it. At this moment, his voice was cold and emotionless. "Which great power wants to attack my Wang family?" Wang Chengquan's expression was very cold. He swept his gaze over the crowd. He felt that something was wrong. "No great power. I'll kill all of you alone." Yi Fan pressed forward step by step. "Kill all of us alone." The Wang family's people wanted to laugh, but they couldn't. They only felt that their bodies were somewhat cold. Everyone present was stunned. Who was this person? He dared to block the demon imperial palace alone and kill the 8 powerful beings of the Northern Plains' ancient families. How much courage and strength did he have to do this? Where did this ignorant brat come from? How dare he speak such nonsense here? Wang Chengquan's expression was gloomy. The few elders beside him also sneered. They attacked on the spot and humiliated Yi Fan to the extreme. They slapped toward Yi Fan's cheek. Yi Fan let out a cold snort and extended his right arm. A large golden hand went up to meet the slap and smashed that slap into pieces on the spot. That elder let out a heart-wrenching shriek. But at the next moment, his voice came to a screeching halt. The large golden hand was too fast. It drew a trajectory in the air and was simply unavoidable. It slapped his face. But his entire face shattered on the spot and flew out like a porcelain shard. The large golden hand transformed into a slap, and it was incomparably resounding. This elder's face was distorted beyond recognition. Cracks appeared on his entire head, and his postnatal spiritual crown was blown off with a bang and flew out. With a final strange sound, his head was smashed like a broken gourd. He died on the spot. Everyone's expression changed. This was a supreme expert. He failed to humiliate others and was slapped to death by this young man in front of them. It was simply too shocking. In the distance, Qi Huishui had been paying attention the whole time. When she saw this scene, her small mouth formed an O shape. Beside her, the southern demon appeared. Mountains and rivers flowed in his eyes, and ancient moons descended. His cultivation was becoming increasingly profound as he stared at Chu Feng without blinking. "For you?" Wang Chengquan was astonished. This kind of cultivation was too terrifying. A senior elder was slapped to death just like that. "Puma, you've always been thinking about me. Today, I've returned to kill you," Yi Fan calmly said. "It's you." Wang Chengquan's expression immediately changed, and his body trembled. The other members of the Wang clan quickly blocked in front and protected Wang Chengquan behind him. All of them acted as if they were facing a great enemy. If their clan leader was killed, it would truly be a ruthless slap to the face of their clan. "If I want to kill someone, it's useless even if you hide in the cloudy palace hall." Yi Fan walked forward. His black hair danced chaotically as he forced back 7 supreme experts by himself. This kind of scene caused everyone to be stunned. Who exactly is he? Many people were asking this question. The people of this region were all scared. Could it be that he really returned? Some people were astonished. How is this possible? He has returned. How did he do it? Many people retreated in shock. Yi Fan made his move. Golden blood qi blossomed from his entire body, drowning out this place. He said, "Today, I'll kill Wang Teng's old man first. Next time, I'll go to the northern plains and directly kill him." Boom! Heaven overflowing divine might erupted. It was as if an ancient demonic god had revived and reappeared in this world. Yi Fan's fist blasted out. He didn't hide his strength at all and immediately used the 6 paths of reincarnation fist. Although the 2 people at the very front attacked with all their might, they couldn't block this ocean-like fist power at all. A pair of golden fists swept through everything in their path, smashing the 2 people into pieces on the spot. Blood paste, broken bones, and hair flew in all directions. It's the saint physique, it's really him. He really came back. I've seen him before. This is too inconceivable. Everyone was shocked. The saint physique that had disappeared for 12 years and left this world had actually reappeared in this world and appeared again. Yi Fan roared loudly. It was as if the primal chaos thunder of the 9 heavens descended upon this world. Endless mountain ranges collapsed, and the supreme experts at the front all coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Their bodies cracked as they staggered backwards. Yi Fan reached out a large golden hand and grabbed Wang Qingquan with a single motion, lifting him up. This scene shocked everyone. No one dared to believe what they were seeing. This was a supreme expert. His saint physique was truly too powerful. Release him. An elder's entire body was covered in scales as he shouted, "Do you know who we are and where we came from? Isn't it just an archaic creature?" Scram. Yi Fan sneered in disdain. He slapped down with his palm, breaking his bones and tendons on the spot. Chapter 762. The demonic imperial palace was hidden in the depths of the mountains. There was a power that could sever 3,000 worlds. The place was shrouded in a dense demonic aura and was incomparably mysterious. A quiet bluestone path led to the depths of this ancient mountain range. Old trees towered into the sky, as tall as the mountains. Giant vines were dozens of feet thick, covering the entire mountain ridge. Outside the mountain, Yi Fan alone was suppressing the group of enemies. Facing the 8 great experts of Northern Plains Wang clan, he attacked with full force, suppressing everyone. He carried Wang Qingquan like he was carrying a dead goose. With every step he took, the big shots in front of him would take 3 steps back. This scene was astonishing. 8 almighties! What kind of frightening battle prowess was this? Yet they were intimidated by a single person, forcing them to retreat step by step like a flock of sheep facing a tiger king. Ah! Wang Qingquan growled. As the leader of a clan, being dragged like a dead dog like this was a great humiliation that made his lungs want to explode. Slap. Yi Fan raised his hand and gave him a slap, causing his teeth to fly out and blood to flow from the corner of his mouth. He did not take his life immediately, otherwise, this slap would have turned his head into a rotten watermelon. In the surroundings, everyone was in a daze, feeling a chill all over their bodies. This was the clan leader of a Northern Plains desolate clan, yet he was lifted up and slapped. What was the difference between this and a fantasy story? Even if Wang Qingquan's cultivation was not good and he was only an ordinary great expert, his status was there. The leader of an eternal clan held great authority, looking down on Northern Plains and the world. His status was extremely noble and inviolable. He represented a desolate clan, and being slapped like this was the same as slapping the face of everyone in the clan. This was a humiliation to an eternal clan. Wang Qingquan was stupefied, then he roared like a wild beast. He did everything he could to destroy this young man that he had hated for more than 10 years. Slap. However, facing all of this, Yi Fan only responded with a slap, a solid slap on his face. Another tooth fell out. Wang Qingquan almost went crazy. This was a great humiliation. He knew he was finished. Even if he could survive, he could no longer be the leader of a clan. Pa! Yi Fan slapped him again, causing his roar to stop abruptly. He stood there like a demonic god, incomparably domineering. Everyone was stupefied. How many years had it been since something like this had happened? The owner of an undying inheritance had his mouth slapped by another. This feeling was too unreal. In the past, it was only possible if they broke through a holy land and were destroyed. That was a great humiliation that would be remembered for all eternity. I'm not seeing things, right? The divine physique has returned and is slapping the Wang family's head in the face? Is it him? His face is shrouded in mist, and even the heavens I can't see through it. However, the golden blood energy is definitely him. It's really him. The person who disappeared for 12 years has appeared again, suppressing 8 great experts of Northern Plains Wang tribe by himself. In the surroundings, everyone felt their hair stand on end. The scene before their eyes was too impactful. Qi Haoshui's skin was like fine jade. Her lips were red and moist, and her eyelashes were very long. Her eyes were filled with shock. She had never thought that when they met again, Yi Fan's battle prowess would be so terrifying. On the side, the southern demon's black hair draped over his shoulders. His expression was solemn as he quietly watched the battle. His eyes were incomparably deep, and there were stars, moon, and stars faintly discernible within. The great demons of southern mountains, the human race's sect masters, and the inheritors they brought were all experiencing great waves of emotions, finding it hard to calm down. They were astonished by Yi Fan's battle prowess and wanted to know how he had returned. Yi Fan held Wang Chengkuan upside down as he strode forward. The remaining 4 senior elders all had unsightly expressions. Crackling sounds came from their bodies as they shed a layer of human skin to be replaced by thick scales. These 4 were all archaic creatures, and not a single one of them was human. It was clear that they had ulterior motives for coming to Southern Mountain's demon imperial palace like this. This caused the faces of the various big shots of the demon race to become somewhat cold. An ancient creature with a head full of purple hair and antlers on his head spoke. Green scales flickered all over his body. "We are not people from Northern Plains Wang family, isn't it the same? Didn't you all stop me from attacking just now?" Yi Fan didn't stop at all and continued to walk forward. Golden blood energy surged all over his body as he pressed forward. This archaic creature suffered a heavy pressure. His entire body felt as if it had been struck by lightning. Streaks of bloody markings appeared on his body. There was a weight of millions of caddies in front of him that he couldn't block at all. "Stop. Do you know where we came from? What are our identities?" This ancient creature shouted. Yi Fan took a step forward and waved his hand, slapping his face. Immediately, half of his face was missing. His face was like a bloody gourd, distorted beyond recognition. His entire body flew out. "Do you want to become enemies with my race? We come from the Valley of Gods, a great royal race among the myriad races. Our orders are in the ancient times, and no one dares to disobey." Another ancient creature berated loudly. "This isn't the ancient times. If you want to command the world, I'll send you back." Yi Fan took a step forward. With a light shout, a stream of golden blood energy rushed out from his mouth, causing the ancient creature in front to scream miserably. He used all sorts of ancient treasures to block it, but they were all shattered. He reared his head back and coughed out blood. He was sent flying and fell into the dust. You don't know the difference between life and death. The various races of the ancient times are about to emerge. Those who can adapt to the situation will make a wise choice, yet you chose to become enemies with us." A third ancient creature shouted. "It seems like you are the one who doesn't know the difference between life and death." A golden sacred domain appeared outside Yi Fan's body, preventing all techniques from touching him. He calmly took a step forward. The attacks in front of him were all ineffective. He slapped out with his palm. Poof! The ancient life form only had time to let out a scream before it was sent flying by the slap. Then it exploded in midair, turning into a pile of broken bones and bloody pulp. In the distance, all the spectators held their breaths. These were powerful ancient creatures, yet they were killed just like that. There wasn't the slightest bit of hesitation at all. This caused everyone's hearts to tremble. Now, the various races of the ancient times were reviving one after another. An incomparably terrifying chaotic era was about to arrive. All the major powers of the world were seeking to protect themselves, fearing that they would be drawn into the dark chaos. They weren't willing to offend the ancient creatures, especially those from the king races. Yet Yi Fan didn't care about them at all. He killed them on the spot, even if they were from the Valley of Gods. It didn't matter at all. The remaining 3 ancient creatures felt their hearts pounding. After roaming the world, there hadn't been a single human who didn't treat them like anything. This person killed them as if they were chickens or ducks. "My Valley of Gods, you guys aren't qualified to talk to me." Yi Fan interrupted their words and then pressed forward. Once the golden sacred domain appeared, it was useless no matter how the 3 ancient creatures attacked. "You have to understand the consequences of choosing to become enemies with my race." At this moment, they were clearly putting on a brave front. "Furious, I will go kill Zi Tiandu." Yi Fan sneered. After the young master of the Valley of Gods led people to force Dongfang Yi to climb the fallen eagle cliff and stain the stone walls with his blood, Yi Fan had already sworn to kill Zi Tiandu with his own hands. You want to kill the young master of my race? What kind of place do you think the Valley of Gods is? Back in the day, we looked down on the world, and no one dared to disobey us. Bang! Yi Fan took a step forward, and a powerful aura erupted. It soared up to the 9 heavens and down to the 9 hells. He was like a demonic god, and his ocean-like power surged. The pressure caused the ancient creature in front of him to tremble and kneel on the ground. He didn't want to maintain this humiliating posture, but he couldn't move at all. Moreover, his body was trembling, and even his teeth were chattering. Zi Tiandu Yuangu, I will kill both of them. Yi Fan snorted coldly. His golden sacred domain expanded, and he was like a god shrouded in a divine halo. Yuangu. Hearing this name, not only the 3 ancient creatures, but also many of the giants of the human race were shocked. This was an unrivaled young ancient race expert in the modern era. You will never be able to defeat them. That is the bloodline of the ancient kings, and within them flows the invincible imperial blood. Said one of the ancient creatures. Yi Fan didn't attack again. Instead, he calmly and powerfully strode forward, pulsing with the mountains, rivers, and all living things. There was a terrifying rhythm to his steps, and a Tao was circulating. Each step was like the sound of a heavenly drum. The terrifying rhythm caused the 3 ancient creatures to vomit blood with each step. This was an incomparably frightening scene. Bang! Bang! The other 2 ancient creatures couldn't control themselves and also knelt on the ground. They tried their best to raise their heads, but they couldn't. Their veins were throbbing, and they couldn't get up no matter how hard they tried. Golden divine light surged. His footsteps slowly and powerfully descended. They coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Yi Fan was surrounded by a divine ring. He was like a deity walking in the world of mortals. When Yi Fan reached the 5th step, a sword cry sounded. The sound of his footsteps was actually like this, making everyone turn pale. When his 8th step descended, it was like a heavenly sword returning to its scabbard. With a chong sound, the 3 ancient creatures kneeling on the ground all shattered, turning into a pool of blood. This scene left everyone horrified. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines from head to toe, producing waves of cold air. Why did the battle end again? Did I come too late? Li Tian ran over from the depths of the mountains. Behind him was a demoness that was bewitching to the point of seduction. Bang! Yi Fan smashed Wang Chenkuan onto the ground. All of the bones in his body fractured on the spot, taking away half his life. The sect master of the carnal desires path has arrived. Li Tian rushed over and descended from the sky. He stepped on Wang Chenkuan's chest and said, "Didn't you want to kill me, you old turtle? Why couldn't you wait a bit longer? You really can't take a beating." Pooh! Wang Chenkuan spat out blood. Half of it was due to anger, and the other half was due to injury. Today, he suffered a great humiliation. His reputation was completely ruined. Even if a miracle happened and he could survive, this position of family master would also come to an end. The clansmen definitely wouldn't allow him to continue. Li Tian wanted to search his primordial spirit, but with a pu sound, the Wang family master's sea of consciousness collapsed. It turned into destructive light and rushed out, almost injuring him. Yi Fan shivered inwardly. Even a sect master-level figure's sea of consciousness had a forbidden technique set up. It truly was a bit terrifying. Even the undying inheritances were extremely mysterious. Everyone was stupefied. A family master of the Huanggu family had died. This was definitely a great matter that would shake the world. The 5 regions would definitely be thrown into chaos and news would spread to every corner of the world. Wang Chenkuan's cultivation might not be enough to shock the world, but his status was too high, incomparably noble. It was impossible for the world not to be shaken even if he didn't want to die like this. The ancient vein that the demonic imperial palace was located in was extremely vast. All of the demonic races that could cultivate here all had great backgrounds. Over 100 li away was the southern demonic's cultivation ground. In this place, The ancient trees were even taller than the mountains. The bluestone path was incomparably deep and serene, leading to a peaceful land. Yi Fan, the southern demonic, Yan Ishi, and Li Tian sat on the ground, listening to the zither. There was a kind of ethereal and almost Tao realm atmosphere. The southern demonic personally boiled water. All kinds of tea utensils were placed on the ancient wooden table. Then, she displayed a kind of tea ceremony that could purify one's soul. They tasted the fragrant tea and listened to the zither music. For a moment, they entered an indescribable state of emptiness. Not far away, Qi Huishui was personally playing the zither. It was beautiful and pleasant to listen to, cleansing one's soul. Chapter 763. The silver plate hung high in the sky as the bright moonlight shone down. The ancient pine trees stood tall on the mountain as clear spring water flowed from their roots. This was a tranquil and peaceful scene. They sat cross-legged under the moonlight. There was not the slightest noise, tranquil. There was an otherworldly aura that was tranquil and natural. Not long ago, Yi Fan's blood was still boiling as he slashed 8 great existences. He was like a god of war looking down on the world, oppressing people to the point of suffocation. But now, he was like a banished immortal, motionless and transcendent as if he was going to ride the wind. He was like an Azura god of death, but he was as calm as a snow orchid in the valley. One was moving and the other was quiet. They were 2 completely different temperaments. The sound of the zither was ethereal and spirited. It was as if divine talismans were jumping about and flowing out from her slender fingers, sketching out a peaceful scene. The moonlight shone down, making her white skin glow. Her fingers danced like a fairy, as if she was carved out of warm jade. No one spoke and did not disturb this Tao state. They quietly admired it. The water boiled again. The southern demon stood up and displayed his superb tea ceremony. Every movement of his had a strange power that calmed one's heart, calmed one's mind, and purified one's thoughts. It allowed oneself to be at peace and tranquility. This was a true tea ceremony that could purify one's soul. It allowed Yi Fan's anxiety over the death of his friend to dissolve. He slowly calmed down. After a long time, the southern demon said, "Zi Tiandu is in the southern mountains." Zi Tiandu was a young ancient race member who traveled together with Wang Teng 12 years ago. His strength was so powerful that it made people shiver. He was the young master of the Valley of Gods. How strong is he? Li Tian woke up from his tranquility and asked while sipping his tea. At the same time, he was absent-mindedly looking at Qi Yueshan. He is much stronger than Wang Ting 12 years ago. The southern demon said. His thick black hair draped over his shoulders. Mountains and rivers appeared in his eyes along with the ancient moon. He was unfathomable. You want to tell us that he is very strong. Moreover, the current Wang Teng is not the same as before. He is even more terrifying, far surpassing the past. Yan Ishi said. The pine trees could not hide the moonlight. The clear spring flowed above the rocks. This place became quiet again. No one spoke as they quietly sipped their tea. The fragrance lingered, causing one's soul to sublimate. This was the world's most precious tea, originating from the Tao Comprehension tea tree. The leaves that flew out of Undying Mountain and landed in the outside world were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Nan Yao used it to entertain guests. He didn't say anything, but the few of them could tell that he was using his heart to comprehend his own Tao. This place became increasingly quiet. How strong is Yuan Gu? Yi Fan asked. He had long decided that he was going to kill this person to understand his Tao heart and avenge his old friend. I was 10 li away from him. When I turned around, I saw his silhouette. He was an unrivaled expert and was extremely powerful. The southern monster didn't speak much, but his words carried a lot of weight. He did not exaggerate, nor did he describe in detail. He spoke calmly and truthfully, but it made people feel a great pressure. The southern demon had once entered the eastern wilderness alone, wanting to witness the terrifying young experts of the ancient race one by one. However, in the end he had only brushed past Yuan Gu. He had not seen Huang Shudao, the heavenly prince, the divine silkworm Taoist, or the fire Qilin. Today's battle will shake the entire 5 regions. Do you want to save your old friends from danger? Do you think they are still alive? The southern demon calmly gazed over. Yi Fan put down his teacup and gazed into the distance. I hope there are still people alive. Let all the enemies come to kill me. I'll take them all on. Are you not afraid that the enemies are endless? Can you block them all? Qi Huishui had skin of ice and bones of jade, but when she smiled, there was a charming and flirtatious charm. If they come, I'll just kill them all, said Yi Fan. In the distance, the expressions of the old demons couldn't help but become sluggish. Then they nodded. Come here, divine child Li Tian, have descended here. There will definitely be a world-shaking battle to raise the sacred might of our carnal desires' orthodoxy. Li Tian was impassioned. Qi Huishui curled her lips. She didn't have a good impression of him. Beauty, don't look down on me. I'm the sect master of the carnal desires' orthodoxy. My sect will flourish in the Big Dipper Star region. In the future, I will rule over the world. Isn't he just a rapist? Qi Huishui said valiantly. He put on a look of disdain and said, even if I haven't killed 1,000, I've killed at least 800. Don't compare me with those tasteless fellows. I'm a young sect master with ideals, morals, background, iron rules, and ambition. The night was quiet, and the fragrance of flowers permeated the air. The pine forest became quiet again. After a long time, Yi Fan asked the southern demon about the situation in the eastern wasteland. The information he obtained was similar to what he had heard before. When I entered the eastern wasteland, I killed a few experts from the ancient races. They were all from the same race as the primordial era, but I didn't find any of your old friends. The southern demon said. Yi Fan expressed his gratitude. He didn't have a deep friendship with the southern demon, so it was very difficult for him to do this. But now, who would be willing to provoke the ancient races? Everyone wanted to protect themselves in the future chaotic times and couldn't wait to avoid them. The ancient races all had ancient kings in slumber. Once they awakened, who could be a match for the human race? If one truly became enemies with them, there would definitely be mountains of corpses and seas of blood. No one would be able to fight against them, and all the holy lands would find it hard to breathe. The moonlight was like thin smoke, sprinkling down on the pine forest like large white feathers. The spring water gurgled. This place was incomparably peaceful, like a poetic scene. It was already late at night. Yi Fan stood up and said, tell me Zi Tiandu's specific location and help me carve a teleportation formation. But the southern demon stood up and asked an old demon to open an ancient formation platform on another mountain peak. You want to kill the young master of the Valley of Gods alone? That's a dragon's pool and tiger's den. There's no need to talk about how powerful he is, and there's also a group of terrifying clansmen there. It's a stronghold for them to enter the southern mountains range. Qi Huishui's beautiful eyes blinked. Yi Fan laughed and said, after tonight, that stronghold will no longer exist. Arrogant. Qi Huishui glanced at him. I'm drunk, numb, and limp. If I laugh again, I'll die, Li Tian shouted. Die. Qi Huishui ruthlessly glared at him. I've offended you in the past and imprisoned you for a month. Don't take it to heart. Yi Fan apologized. You can die too. Qi Huishui flipped out and kicked Yi Fan onto the formation platform, causing everyone to be stunned. This girl was truly ferocious, even kicking a saint physique. One had to know that this was a ruthless person who had just killed 8 powerhouses, including the clan master of the Desolate Era. The ancient formation platform interweaved with runes and resonated with the stars in the sky. At this moment, all of them were activated. Demonic light surged as they disappeared from the spot. Vermilion Bird City was one of the 10 great ancient cities of the Southern Mountains. It had a long history, even before the era of writing. This was a huge ancient city. According to legend, when the foundation was built, the divine bird Vermilion Bird cried out, hence the city's name. On this night, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. A group of 3 crossed the void and entered this city. That southern demon seems to be extremely powerful and unfathomable, Yan Ishi said. This person is very calm and has an extraordinary bearing. He will definitely become a great person in the future. Even the hoodlum Li Tian said so. Yi Fan nodded and said, if he wasn't powerful, why would the odd warrior manor talk to him privately? They might even give him a quota to enter the ancient starry sky region. This was a very spacious ancient residence with gardens and many palaces. It was left behind by an ancient heavenly demon who looked down on the entire southern mountains in the past. Now, it was almost abandoned. Yi Fan pushed open the door and walked in. He did not take out his battle treasure and only held an ordinary iron sword in his right hand as he strode forward. Who dares to trespass into my race's important place? An ancient creature was alerted and flashed out from the door. He had scarlet hair and sharp fangs, his body covered in crocodile scales. Pooh! Yi Fan did not say anything. A cold sword light shone in all directions, and a bloody head immediately flew out. Its primordial spirit was annihilated by the sword chi, and the headless corpse's blood splashed several meters high. When the three walked over, it fell to the ground with a plop. How dare you? Just a few humans, yet you dare to trespass into my valley of divinities. A few beings that looked like flying silver yikshaws jumped out and spat out divine arts. They emitted blazing divine light as they attacked. Yi Fan spread out his golden sacred domain and strode forward. It was as if he had entered an uninhabited land, and nothing could touch him. He killed his way over like he was taking a leisurely stroll. Pooh, pew, one head after another flew into the air, and blood bloomed like brilliant fireworks. It was a shocking moment, followed by eternal silence. A total of 19 heads were sent flying by Yi Fan. None of the ancient creatures were weak, but under the suppression of the golden sacred domain, they did not even have the power to fight back. They were all killed. Too fast, too sharp. Why don't you let me take action? Li Tian shouted. Yi Fan said, go into the sky and hold the goddess furnace, but do not expose it. If you see anyone trying to escape, blast them back. Don't let a single one escape today. Ah! Miserable screams rang out from the ancient residence, startling many cultivators in Vermilion Bird City. They all woke up and watched from afar. It's him, the Saint Physique again. He's taking revenge for the barbarians. He returned after 12 years, yet he's still so powerful and terrifying. People gasped. How many people in the world dared to provoke ancient creatures? After returning, Yi Fan killed his way into the Valley of Divinity's stronghold in the southern mountains. He was going to wipe them all out. That night, Vermilion Bird City was restless. Shocking killing intent surged into the sky, and mournful screams rang out continuously. Everyone felt a sense of despair and coldness. Xin, get over here and accept your head. Yi Fan raised his blood-dripping sword and killed his way into the depths of the residence. There were over 60 ancient creature corpses lying around, and his feet were covered in blood. My brother has returned to the eastern wasteland. A terrifying creature walked out. It was not much different from a human, with purple hair, purple eyes, and snow-white skin. His eyes were spewing flames of anger as he said coldly, "You're that Saint Physique. He really returned. What a pity. Then I'll let him grieve for a period of time." After speaking, Yi Fan took action. In the distant sky, everyone heard a wave of angry roars. There was an intense battle erupting, and all types of light surged. Countless archaic secret techniques were unleashed, and this place was thrown into chaos. However, after a quarter of an hour, an unwilling roar sounded. A head soaked in blood flew into the sky, purple hair and purple eyes, and then it exploded. After that, miserable screams rang out one after another. Some people clearly saw that there was a figure enveloped in a golden divine halo that was rapidly killing people in the residence. When the sword descended, heads would either fall to the ground or half a body would be sent flying. This was an extremely terrifying scene. Blood dyed the green brick road red. That person was like a demon king from hell. His hair was disheveled, and he killed people like flax. Not a single sword missed. Every time he attacked, a large amount of blood would blossom, and life would end. Too terrifying. Is this the holy power of a Saint Physique? A divine ring suppressing all the ancient creatures that attacked. He returned after 12 years and came back to this world. The saint physique is too powerful and terrifying. This was what everyone was thinking. They all felt their scalps go numb, and their bodies became ice cold. When everything calmed down, there were over 100 corpses under Yi Fan's feet. His entire body was soaked in blood, and the scarlet iron sword was thrown to the ground by him. With a chong sound, everyone's hearts trembled. Li Xiaoman, Hua Yunfei, Wang Tingyin Yang sect, World of Mortals, Hell, Zitindu, Yuan Gu, all enemies, I'll be waiting for you in the southern mountains. The heaven and earth were silent. No one knew how much time had passed before someone gathered their courage and entered this residence. There were bloodstains everywhere, and corpses were everywhere. All of them had been killed in a single strike. How much time had passed, yet over 100 ancient race experts had died. This kind of accomplishment made people tremble. 12 years had passed, and the saint physique had returned. In a single day, he killed the Wang clan master and the other 6 supreme experts. In a single night, he killed over 100 ancient race experts from Divine Valley. Everyone knew that after daybreak, this news would definitely spread to the 5 great regions. It would cause a huge commotion, and the entire world would be shaken. Chapter 764. A ray of red light appeared on the horizon as the sun struggled to climb up. Mist lingered in the mountain forest, creating a hazy mist. Finally, the red sun gushed out and a few strands of gentle light sprinkled down on the forest, giving the mist a layer of gold and giving it a cheerful vitality. Morning dew rolled on the grass and flowers like pearls, sparkling and translucent. The multicolored light was extremely beautiful. The smell of the earth mixed with the fragrance of the grass, giving off a refreshing feeling. The mist had yet to disperse and there was still some moisture in the forest. A small portion of the red sun was peeking out, but the mountain was much livelier. All kinds of birds were chirping nonstop. Yi Fan was covered in blood. He stood motionlessly for half the night, his black hair and blood-stained clothes drenched in dew. On the other side, Yen Ishi was breathing in and out while facing the morning glow. Streams of white qi flowed in and out of his mouth and nose like a horned dragon. It was truly astonishing. What a good sleep. I say, one of you was meditating and didn't move at all, while the other is cultivating so hard. How can I endure this? Li Tian rinsed his mouth with spring water and washed his face. He then picked a handful of pine nuts and ate them as he walked. When the sun rose, the mist disappeared and the whole mountain area became bright and resplendent. Yen Ishi had finished his cultivation and opened his eyes. Brother Yi, what are you thinking about? Li Tian spat out a pine nut shell and said, What's there to worry about? After yesterday's battle, his name will definitely shake the world and he will be invincible. This is such a great thing. All the beauties in the world will be looking at him. When will the battle that will make me famous come? Every time, the opportunity is snatched away. I feel a pressure coming from afar. The future will suffocate me, said Yi Fan. He gazed toward the eastern wasteland, his gaze seemingly piercing through the vast mountains and rivers. Yen Ishi said, Huang Shudao, the heavenly prince, Yuan Gu, the fire Qilin, the divine silkworm Taoist, and the others. These young ancient race members are indeed terrifying. Their future path will definitely be built with blood and bones. Yi Fan said, Even though these people are terrifying, they aren't enough to make me unable to sleep at night. I feel like it's hard to breathe in the future. I'm worried about those ancestral kings. If any one of them appears, it will be a great disaster. It will be a dark upheaval. Anyone who fought against an ancestral king would be met with a scene of blood flowing like rivers and millions of corpses. This was because those were terrifying beings of the sage level, and it was rare to see a human sage in the present age. In the archaic era, there were tens of thousands of races, and among them, the most terrifying were known as the royal races. There should be no less than 10 races, and every race would have an ancestral king, and not just one. Just thinking about it made one feel as if a mountain was pressing down on them, making it hard for them to breathe. In the future, if an all-out war were to break out, other than the inheritances of emperor armaments, who would be able to stand against them? Damn it, I'm starting to miss the Z-Way starfield. Back then I had the goddess furnace. As long as I wasn't surrounded, I could do whatever I wanted. But after coming here, I realized that the future is not good. It's as if I'm looking for trouble. Li Tian regretted his decision. Right now, the only thing they could rejoice about was that the ancestral kings didn't show any signs of taking action, and there was no news of any of them reviving. However, it was hard to say what would happen in the future. Right now, the great sects could only pray that these ancestral kings only wanted to become immortals and didn't have any other thoughts. It was because during these years, there were some ancient races that did indeed send out this type of message. They also sent special envoys to the great sects, saying that they wouldn't fight a bloody battle and only needed a piece of land. Becoming an immortal was too elusive. How many heroes had their bones buried in the passage of time? It was hard to believe. Perhaps only those with ancient emperor weapons could have some confidence, but if the race didn't have a saint, then their future situation would still be worrying. From what we understand, the various ancient races seem to be feeling restraining fear as well. They are probing around in various places and don't dare to move unhindered in this world, said Yi Fan. What did you sense? Li Tian asked. According to what the southern monster said, they have appeared in the places where the great emperors passed away, as well as the tombs. They are incomparably cautious. Right, this is an ancient star that even the great emperors of the human race are about to descend on. There must be some secret that they are afraid of, said Li Tian. In this world, if one were to ask what the ancient kings were afraid of, it would naturally be the ancient emperors. They were afraid that they had some terrifying trump cards. Which one of the great emperors of the human race wasn't a dazzling figure that shocked the ancients and dazzled the contemporaries? There were too many things about them, causing the myriad of races to tremble in fear. Even if they were in slumber, there were still awakened ones paying attention to them. That's right, I think so too. Perhaps this is the only thing we can use to make them even more afraid, forever not daring to come out. Yi Fan said. What do you plan to do? Yan Yishi asked. I've thought about it for half a night. I have an idea that might be able to suppress the ancient kings and make them not dare to come out for a short period of time. Yi Fan said. You can suppress them? Li Tian was shocked. Even if he obtained an emperor weapon, if his strength wasn't enough, he might not be able to make an ancient king shrink back. In the past, there would definitely be great emperors appearing in the darkness. The current era is even more so than the past, surpassing all of the past. This is the only great era since the ancient times. I believe they are also afraid that the strongest human emperor will appear. Tell me about it, Li Tian said. If we really do it, there will be 9 deaths and 1 life. I hope it will be effective and intimidate them, Yi Fan said. The world was shaken, and the 5 regions were shocked. On this day, all the cultivators were shocked. Their gazes gathered on Jiao Nanling. Everyone was in disbelief and felt that it was inconceivable. It had already been 12 years since he left this ancient planet. The divine physique of the past had actually appeared again, returning to this world. He had killed 8 great experts of the Jianghu aristocratic families and killed hundreds of ancient race heroes in the night. The experts' corpses lay beneath his feet, and his iron sword was soaked in blood. This battle had shaken the world. There wasn't a single cultivator in the 5 regions who wasn't shocked. All of this was too sudden. This kind of battle accomplishment was too terrifying. How did he return? How could he appear in this world again? That was crossing the starry skies. Even the ancient saints might not be able to travel safely. This is too inconceivable. He killed so many experts alone. After 12 years, how did he become so powerful? He even killed Wang Teng's father. How domineering. It seems like he wants to fight the North Empyrean to the death. After 12 years, the final battle is about to take place. Divine physique, he has returned. This is inconceivable and truly terrifying. How terrifying! Today, all the cultivators in the various regions were discussing. Yi Fan became the focal point of everyone's discussion. Everyone was shocked. A single battle shook the world, causing great waves of commotion. Yi Fan's return caused the various regions to be in a state of unrest. I feel that now that his divine physique has reached the minor completion stage, it would be hard for him to find an opponent at the 2nd level of Immortal Foundation. He should be able to look down on the world with disdain. This was the comment of an old sect leader from the central prefecture. The central emperor hasn't acted for so many years. I wonder how strong he is now. Hua Yunfei and the Alcade Saint Child have risen up. I wonder who would be stronger if they fought against the divine physique. Some people who wished for the world to be in chaos were filled with anticipation. Now that the divine physique has returned, maybe he would be able to clash against Huang Shudao and Yuan Gu, causing dazzling sparks to fly. This was the hope of a powerful unaffiliated cultivator. There are some supreme young experts from the ancient races with the royal blood flowing in their veins. Each of their statuses is equivalent to the divine physique of the human race. If one fought against them, they would most probably die 9 out of 10 times. There would definitely be someone who could suppress the divine physique of the human race. Only by truly clashing would we know who is the strongest. This is a grand era that surpasses the past. It would definitely be a world dyed in blood. Who can prove their Tao? Who can become an emperor? Right now, no one can be sure. The final victor would definitely trample on the blood and bones of countless outstanding geniuses. After the stars shine resplendently, there would definitely be many kings falling, and the future generations would be filled with desolation. It would be a magnificent scene dyed in blood. Yi Fan's return attracted the attention of the entire world. Millions of gazes were focused on the southern mountains. Many undying major powers specially sent people over to understand the situation. The reactions from different places were different. When the central prefecture's Yin-Yang sect's people heard that Yi Fan had reappeared, the current sect master threw the teacup in his hand below the main hall. Following that, he ordered many disciples not to take a single step into the southern mountains and even more so to stop outside the eastern wasteland. He then quickly began to conspire with the old man. This truly shocked them. The two ancient divine dynasties of the eastern wasteland had evidently received less killing business recently. People guessed that they were mobilizing their troops to attack Yi Fan. The people of the world were horrified. The two ancient dynasties had been dormant for more than 100,000 years. Now, they dared to reappear in the world without fear of the encirclement of various sections. This was enough to explain the situation. Thinking of those terrifying legends, the ancient palace built with the skulls of various kings, and the carpet made from the skin of saints, everyone felt their blood run cold. The two divine dynasties' most powerful divine sons and daughters were all born to kill the various kings. They were the most mysterious young experts in the world. People knew that they really wanted to collect the skulls of the divine physiques. Perhaps the most terrifying sparks would be ignited because many people believed that they had the power to kill all the kings. The eastern wasteland, the southern region, the Ji family. Ji Ziyue was bright and beautiful. Her hair danced in the wind and her slender body was light. She looked ethereal and intelligent. For so many years, the little dimples that would only appear when she smiled rarely appeared. Her entire person was as otherworldly as the goddess of moon, untainted by the mortal world. At this moment, the jade cup in her hand fell to the ground, but she didn't care. She looked at Ji Haoyue in surprise and said, "Really, little Yi is back? He's on the other side and we're on this side of the starry sky. We're so far apart. It's back." Ji Ziyue murmured and then smiled happily. A pair of cute and mischievous little dimples appeared on her face. At this moment, although she tried her best to hide it, there was a trace of mist in her eyes. In an ancient cave of the Ji clan, inside a huge block of ice, a man covered in blood was sealed inside. His wounds were corroded by the black light. At this moment, he transmitted his divine sense and said, "Little Yi has returned. Good. Kill all the enemies and avenge us. I never thought that I would be able to see him again. Brother Heishui, rest well. You'll definitely survive." Ji Ziyue comforted him. "Tell little Yi to kill Li Xiaoman and Yuan Gu. Otherwise, some of our brothers won't be able to rest in peace." Li Heishui shouted excitedly. In the Wang family of the northern plains, a tall and burly young man with black hair like a waterfall and sharp eyes stood on top of an ancient golden chariot. Around him were true dragons and divine phoenixes, white tigers and black tortoises shining in the sky. He was like the prime heavenly emperor, standing on the golden chariot. Golden holy light flooded the world. 9 true dragons, 9 divine phoenixes, 9 white tigers and 9 black tortoises were fusing with the Tao together, creating a loud rumble that shook the heaven and earth. Wang Ting roared. All the mountains in his seclusion grounds collapsed. The earth and rocks were like a tsunami, rolling up tens of thousands of feet high and scattering the clouds in the sky. In the northern regions, there was a black mountain that had existed since ancient times. It was like a demonic wall that separated 3,000 worlds and stood majestically. On top of it, there was a figure standing alone with his hands behind his back. He looked at the southern mountains and said, "The human race's holy physique. Interesting. It's worth killing." More places and more people were looking at the southern mountains from afar. Chapter 765. In the depths of the mountains, apes cried and tigers roared. Strange beasts ran amok and all kinds of fierce birds circled in the sky. Some were like dragons but had wings, some were like divine phoenixes but had scarlet scales. It was a prehistoric scene. This was the dwelling place of the barbarian tribe, hidden in the depths of a large mountain range. The creatures they faced were all extremely terrifying and powerful, and because of this, they were able to train their physique to the point of being able to fight. So fragrant, Li Tian sniffed. There was a peng bird on the bonfire. Without its golden feathers, it was still over 20 meters long. It was caught by Dongfang Yi. At this moment, it was divided into hundreds of portions. Many children and elders gathered around different bonfires to enjoy the peng meat. The golden divine feathers were flowing with brilliance and contained a terrifying power. This proved how powerful this bird was when it was alive, but now, it had become a meal on a plate. Oil dripped down and fell on the bonfire, creating sizzling sounds. The fragrant barbecued meat was especially tempting. After adding salt and other seasonings, it was golden and glossy, and the fragrance became even stronger. Some elders of the barbarian tribe opened a few jars of old wine. The smell of peng meat mixed with the fragrance of wine made them drool. Yi Fan and some elders of the barbarian tribe sat together to discuss the important matter of sending troops to northern plains. Both sides were chatting happily as they ate and drank big bowls of wine. Occasionally, when an old man of the barbarian tribe drank to his heart's content, he would tear the meat on the grill with one hand and wave a big stick with the other, shouting that he would trample all the little rats of the Wang family to death and beat all the yolk out of those bastards. I say, brother, did you grow up eating these wild animals? Truly better than immortals. Li Tian tore off a large piece of golden and glossy peng meat and drank a mouthful of old wine. He was so happy that he almost floated in the air. This peng meat is not often eaten. Think about how hard it is to fight. Although it is a strange bird that doesn't walk the path of transformation, it is still comparable to a great expert. Normally, people don't provoke it. Dongfang Man said, "This peng meat is really delicious. I can't wait to stay in your tribe." Li Tian wiped his mouth. In the distance, the 5th granduncle in the ancient village was drinking with a group of old men in the tribe. He smiled and said, "Manor has been thinking about rock meat since he was young. When he was 5 years old, he climbed a cliff to dig out rock eggs and was almost trapped in his nest by an adult rock. Luckily, we followed him. What a blissful childhood, raiding a peng's nest at such a young age. This truly isn't a normal experience." Li Tian was envious, feeling that this was too fierce. "My brother likes to catch dragons," Dongfang Man said. "We used to have a lot of deep pools, and he started to go there when he was very young. When he was a teenager, he often went to the pool to catch dragons." What kind of people are these? Digging out a rock's nest and going into a deep pool to catch a wild dragon? Why do I feel like it's as easy as catching a sparrow or catching a loach? You guys were too abnormal when you were young. Li Tian couldn't help but be convinced. Ao. Not far away, a group of 8 or 9-year-old wild children came whistling over, pulling vines from one cliff to another, more vigorous than monkeys. "There's rock meat to eat. Oh, there's also dragon meat. This is too great." The group of children were as if they were flying, climbing rocks and leaping trees, quickly arriving in front of them. Awu! A loud roar shook the mountains as a huge monster flew across the sky, casting a large shadow on the ground. That was a terrifying existence like an azure dragon, but it had a pair of wings covered densely with scales, each of which could cover a mountain. What kind of monster is this? It's too terrifying. Li Tian almost threw the old wine in his hand to the ground. Such a terrifying aura. How many people in the present age can fight against this creature? Yan Ishi was also horrified. Even Yi Fan's expression changed as he stared at the sky in a daze. Although this place was the same as the prehistoric times, with all kinds of strange ancient birds and beasts, this one was too powerful, causing even him to feel a bit scared. Don't worry, I'm a guardian beast of my barbarian tribe. I was raised by the previous chief himself. Although it wasn't a true azure dragon, the blood of the azure dragon flowed in its body. It had lived for 3,900 years, and with a single roar, 10,000 mountains would tremble. Time was merciless. The old chief had already passed away 2,000 years ago, but this strange beast was still alive and vigorous, showing no signs of aging. This is truly a guardian god, a living legend. Damn it, that grandson Intienda dares to chase us here. The azure dragon will bite him to death, Li Tian said. He began to look around, wanting to see if there were any other strange beasts. This ancient tribe was too mysterious to actually have such a terrifying guardian god. If he brought it to the northern plains, wouldn't he be able to sweep through a large area? Dongfang Man laughed in a simple and honest manner. Are you looking for a guardian beast? There's another one over there. He pointed to a pond in front of them. There was a black and swarthy boulder that was at least a few feet long. At this time, a few strong barbarian men carried a large iron basin over, inside of which was a lot of roasted peng meat, emitting a strong fragrance. A black tortoise. Yi Fan was astonished. This was a terrifying black tortoise with a dragon head and a black shell on its back. After smelling the fragrance of the meat, it poked its head out and began to chew on the meat. Such a big tortoise, it's really rare. Is it really a guardian god? A demon tortoise that has lived for hundreds and thousands of years would also be this big. It doesn't seem like it. Li Tian was suspicious, then he whispered, this thing is so big, and its whole body is full of essence. Would it be very nutritious to eat it? Dongfang Man whispered, don't speak nonsense, this tortoise has been like this since it came to our tribe 2,000 years ago. After being discovered by the old chief, he ordered us to take good care of it and not neglect it. Why did he treat it like this? Even Yi Fan was interested. An old barbarian said, the old chief said that it was very similar to the legendary tortoise, the one that was raised by a chief a long time ago. It can't be, it's so strange. Yan Ishi was also moved. I'm not sure, the old chief said that it might be the descendant of that tortoise, the same race. In any case, don't hurt it, just treat it well. Not long after, Yi Fan and the others heard a tiger's roar, and the whole forest was filled with leaves flying everywhere. A white tiger the size of a mountain flashed in the distance and disappeared. That was the other guardian beast of the barbarian tribe, raised by a senior hero who had already passed away. It had learned the breathing method of the ancient barbarian martial scripture and had lived for 3,500 years. Unfathomable. This was Yi Fan's intuition. This ancient barbarian tribe was truly mysterious and tyrannical. No wonder the entire southern mountains was said to be their world in the ancient times. In the next few days, Yi Fan had been discussing with the barbarian elders. After all, attacking a clan of the ancients would involve too much responsibility, and there would be mountains of corpses at every turn. It was unknown how many people would die. Saint Physique, kneel and die for me. On this day, someone appeared in one of the 10 ancient cities of the southern mountains, Phoenix City, and the news spread throughout the entire southern region. Finally, someone has come? Yi Fan had once said that he would stay in the southern mountains and wait for the enemies of the world to attack him. After many days, someone had finally arrived. We're about to enter the northern plains, and you still want to fight? Yan Ishi asked. I want the whole world to focus their attention on the southern mountains, so that all the enemies will come to the southern mountains and send experts to deal with me, ignoring everything else, Yi Fan said. As they were about to invade northern plains, he wanted to draw all the enemies' attention to southern mountains. Then he and the barbarian army would charge into northern plains and strike with lightning speed. Restrain all the enemies, let them gather their troops in the southern mountains, and then we'll transcend and attack the Wang clan. Yan Ishi nodded. Saint Physique, kneel and die. This was arrogance and ignorance to the extreme, like he had lost his mind. In the current world, as long as a grand completion immortal king didn't appear, no one would dare to humiliate Yi Fan like this. Who dared to curse like this? Even Li Tian, this evil-looking man, had a rare sinister expression on his face. He even said that he would help Yi Fan to pluck the head of this person off and use it as a chamber pot. In the southern mountains, a commotion broke out. The gazes of the people were all on Phoenix City, wanting to know who dared to be so crazy. And as expected, it was indeed someone from the Wang clan of the northern plains, Wang Qingtian. He wasn't very old, but he had already stood on the 9th minor step of the second layer of the Immortal Foundation realm for many years. He was the one who caused the commotion, wanting nothing more than to force Yi Fan to appear so that he could capture his soul and use the cruelest method to humiliate him to death. The leader of a clan was killed. Such humiliation was indescribable, throwing his face in front of everyone. This was even more severe than slapping everyone in the Wang clan in the face. Since ancient times, other than the dark chaos and the destruction of their sects, there had never been a saint lord who was slapped to death by others. Saint Physique, come over here on your knees. At the end, Wang Qingtian personally shouted. He wanted to humiliate Yi Fan in the largest and most flourishing Phoenix City, forcing him to show himself. He had no fear because he brought an ancient sacred weapon with him. Any enemy, even if it was a king, without a corresponding weapon, would die without a burial ground. The one surnamed Yi, are you not going to show yourself? Let me tell you then, when my clan hunted down your old friends, I once acted and killed them like stray dogs. Today I will come to kill you. An even more overbearing voice rang out. Wang Qingtian's voice rang out through the entire Phoenix City, insulting Yi Fan's old friends. It was unknown how many major powers were paying attention to this. Since he dares to shout like this, he definitely has something he can rely on. Yan Yishi spoke. They had already arrived at Phoenix City and guessed that this time around, the Wang clan of the northern plains most probably came with an ancient sacred killing formation or a sacred weapon. Let's go see him and give him a pleasant surprise. The goddess furnace in Yi Fan's palm was sparkling and translucent, emitting a bewitching luster. Wang Qingtian himself was very cold and was not a person who liked to talk too much. With his hands behind his back, he was fearless. There was an ancient sacred weapon in his bosom, ready to strike at any time. I suddenly feel that killing you like this is too boring. Let's go to that ancient village. Didn't you say you wanted to protect them? Today, I will destroy everything they have in front of you. He did not give Yi Fan any time to think. He stepped onto a formation platform with the others and crossed over, disappearing from Phoenix City. Yi Fan did not hesitate and followed along with Yan Ishi and Li Tian, also crossing over and disappearing. The three of them were very expectant. If they were lucky, they might be able to obtain a sacred weapon. Phoenix City was in a state of chaos. It was unknown how many people were paying attention, but both sides had left just like that. These people quickly constructed a formation platform, all wanting to witness this extraordinary battle. Wang Qingtian and Yi Fan stood opposite each other. He coldly laughed. Is this the mountain village in the ancient mountain range ahead? I will erase it. At this moment he launched an attack. A violet gold hammer flew up, transforming into a blazing bolt of lightning as it hacked towards Yi Fan, its might overflowing the heavens. Boom! In the surroundings, the mountains collapsed. The divine power was like the sea, directly turning the distant ancient village into ashes. This was the might of a sacred weapon. Although it was damaged, it was still boundlessly terrifying, as if the end of the world had arrived. Chapter 766. Even though the ancient holy weapon was damaged and wasn't forged from divine materials, its divine might was still unimaginable. The mountain ranges collapsed, and the entire great wastelands trembled. In the distance, all of the birds and beasts were trembling with fear. They all knelt down on the ground and prostrated themselves in this direction. The world became silent. Only here, a violet golden hammer floated in the void. With a shake, the 10,000 worlds in the heavens seemed like they were going to collapse. The indescribable and terrifying might was unstoppable at this moment. The purple ripples it produced collapsed mountains, dried up lakes, and caved-in valleys. Heaven and earth were destroyed, and all living things were destroyed. Damned bastards are here again, destroying my home and destroying my village. This is truly exterminating all of us. I cannot live under the same sky as you all. In the distant mountainous region, several barbarian elders saw this scene. Their hair and beards all stood on end. They hadn't even counterattacked the northern plains, yet the other party came knocking on their door. If they hadn't moved away long ago, they would have been massacred. The purple ripples spread. The world became quiet. Everything was destroyed. The ancient villages and mountain ranges had long since disintegrated under the aftermath. When everything calmed down, the mountains at the very front were silently annihilated. A light breeze blew past, and they fell down like paper, turning into ashes. It was precisely this damaged holy weapon that couldn't be compared to an ancient great weapon, yet it still possessed this kind of power. In front of the Wang family's people floated a head-sized violet golden hammer. Purple energy surged and multicolored light shone brilliantly. It was originally extremely exquisite, but now, a third of its surface was missing and caved in. Wang Qingtian's eyes were filled with coldness. With his hands behind his back, he stood there proudly with an indescribable coldness. He had the appearance of an otherworldly expert. However, right at that moment, his face froze and his gaze became sluggish. Immediately afterwards, he staggered back over 10 steps, his expression immediately freezing. In the back, the other people from the Wang family were also stupefied. They were incomparably shocked and all of them revealed expressions of disbelief. Right in front of them, 3 people walked out from the dissipating purple ripples. Their expressions were calm and without fear. One of the fellas spoke with a face of mockery. "Just this broken hammer of yours and you dare call it a holy weapon? Just give it to me, divine child Li Tian, and I'll use it to grind medicine." Wang Qingtian and the others were completely stunned. They knew that they were in big trouble. What had happened was far beyond their expectations. There was most likely going to be a disaster today. In Yi Fan's right palm was a fist-sized copper furnace. It was beautiful and dazzling, sparkling and translucent. The copper material possessed spirituality, translucent and glossy, flickering with light. It emitted a gentle light mist that protected the 3 of them within. Strands of the might of a saint seeped out, intimidating one's soul. It was incomparable. Flawless saint weapon. The people of the Wang family felt a chill run down their spines. Normally, they wouldn't be able to come into contact with this kind of thing at all. It was a supreme treasure left behind by the great sage in this world. The one in the family was enshrined, and it was hard to even see it from afar. Wang Qingtian's entire body was ice-cold. This was the first time he felt so close to death. Against such a weapon, even if there were dozens of him, he would still die. His elder brother had once fought with Wang Qingkuan for the position of clan head, and in terms of strength, he was far superior. In this generation of the Wang clan, they were the 2 famous heroes, and no one could contend against them. However, their strength couldn't compare to their youngest son's astonishing aptitude. The young Wang Teng was favored by the old ancestor, and he fought for the position of clan head for his father. Now, Wang Qingkuan was killed, and his elder brother became the most powerful contender for the position of clan head. Their line of people requested the violet golden hammer for him, allowing him to use the might of the holy weapon to destroy the divine physique and wipe away the Wang family's humiliation. This would strengthen their faction's might and increase the brilliance of their elder brother's position. However, in the end, this was the result. The other party had a saint weapon, making him feel as if he had fallen into an ice house. "You all want us to kneel to death, yet you all really dare to speak." Li Tian laughed coldly. "Don't kill us." There were people behind Wang Qingtian who were trembling under the might of the holy weapon. There was no one who didn't fear death, it was just that the degree of fear they felt was different. The void trembled. Radiance flickered in Yi Fan's hand. The goddess furnace shot out a streak of multicolored haze that was dazzling and beautiful. It immediately froze that violet golden hammer in place, and then it swept back. He held it in his hand and gently stroked it, using the goddess furnace to completely wipe away all of the divine sense imprints inside. Then he carefully observed it. What a pity, it's a damaged weapon with serious internal damage. Not only was the material of this weapon not good, but it had also consumed too much energy and overdraft the last of its life force. The divine flame contained within was about to be extinguished. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to suppress it, and it would have been even more difficult to seize it. Yen Ishi said, "The damage is severe enough. We can use the goddess furnace to suppress it, or else we really wouldn't be able to subdue a god with a saint weapon. However, there are also shortcomings. This way, it will be damaged even more, and it won't be able to be used many times in the future. No matter, it's still better than not being able to use it," Yi Fan said. The saint weapon was very terrifying, and it could only be used by subduing the god within. Otherwise, it could backfire at any time and kill the wielder. This was the reason why great powers weren't afraid even if their saint weapon was seized. It was because there was a high chance that they could take it back, and it would be difficult to use it even if it fell into the hands of the enemy. "Little bastards, consider it my loss today." Wang Qingtian saw that the saint weapon was about to completely change owners. Although it was damaged, it was still a great loss to his clan. One could imagine how sullen he was. "F***ck your mother, you are still so stubborn now. I'll slice you to death later on." Li Tian spoke. He received the goddess furnace and a beam of divine light shot out. Wang Qingtian was flung through the air. The bones and meridians in his body creaked unceasingly. His sea of reincarnation shattered, his Tao palace collapsed, and his immortal foundation bled. He was crippled on the spot, losing all his cultivation. Wang Qingtian's entire body trembled, and all his hopes turned to dust. He bitterly cultivated for an entire lifetime, but today, it was all over. "You what you?" Li Tian backhanded him and slapped him to the ground. "Don't kill us, we'll agree to all your conditions." The others were so scared that their souls were about to leave their bodies. They knelt on the ground, trembling uncontrollably. "I have many questions I want to ask you guys." Yi Fan smiled. They were about to invade the northern plains, and the more they understood this clan, the better. "You bastards!" Wang Qingtian wasn't just cursing his clansmen, he was also cursing Yi Fan's group. He wanted to continue cursing and berating them. Bang! Yi Fan descended from the sky and stomped down. Half of Wang Qingtian's face was buried into the soil, and he couldn't speak anymore. After that, he kicked him away like a dead dog. Not long later, Yi Fan obtained many valuable information from these people. In the end, he brought these people into the barbarian tribe for them to continue interrogating. The people of the tribe hated them to the core, so they naturally wouldn't use gentle methods. They almost shaved Wang Qingtian alive. They used a large stick to beat him, and not long after, he was almost smashed into pieces. When Yi Fan left, he wiped away all traces of the battlefield. He didn't want to leave behind the aura of the ancient sacred weapon because it wasn't suitable to expose it now. Not long later, those people who had finished constructing the teleportation formation rushed over from Phoenix City. However, they were all disappointed. The battle had already ended, and they didn't see anything. Woo! The bugle horn sounded. The barbarian tribe was gathering their troops, preparing to slaughter their way into the northern plains. There were 2 people who came to their village to massacre them. This could be said to be going too far. All the experts were summoned. Regardless of whether they were living in groups in the mountains, cultivating alone in secret grounds, or in seclusion, all of them had to appear. This ancient bull horn represented war. It wouldn't be blown unless it was a crucial moment. Once it was blown, there would definitely be a world-shaking battle. The entire tribe would fight, and blood would fill the land. Yi Fan felt that it was time to attack the northern plains. Many major forces were focusing their attention on southern mountains, and they were planning against them. It was the best time for them to escape now, and they would succeed in entering the northern plains. Ooh! The ancient bull horn let out a long cry, shaking the mountains and valleys, echoing throughout the entire barbarian ancient land. Roar! A loud roar shook the mountains. A huge azure dragon soared through the sky, casting down a large shadow. It was extremely terrifying, and the aura it emitted made all living beings tremble. It had a pair of huge scaled wings, and every flap of its wings could cover a large mountain. One could well imagine how terrifying this overlord of the sky was. This was a dragon species personally raised by the previous tribe leader, and the blood of the azure dragon flowed within its body. There were 9 elders sitting cross-legged on its back. Their ages were very old, but they were all very wild. They wore beast skin clothes and carried wolf tooth clubs on their backs. All of them had the same appearance. These people? Yi Fan was astonished. These elders were all extremely terrifying. Every one of them was around 3,000 years old, and they were the living fossils of the tribe. Ho! On the other side, a huge white tiger roared as it galloped over from the depths of the mountain range. Every step it took could trample a cliff, and it possessed an incomparably terrifying destructive power. This was the other terrifying guardian god of the barbarians. It had already lived for more than 3,500 years. It was as tall as a mountain, and its demonic aura overflowed into the heavens. On its back were more than 30 terrifying elders. Their ages were all over 2,000 years old, and their hair was like messy grass. Even though their bodies were thin due to their age, they were all full of vigor. They carried large axes on their backs, and each of them was terrifyingly fierce. Ho! Roars sounded continuously. Savage beasts rushed over one after another, and there was an expert sitting on each of them. This was a group of barbarian experts whose seniority was slightly lower, and they didn't have the qualifications to sit on the 2 guardian gods. Their upper bodies were bare, and every one of them had copper muscles and iron bones. Their muscles were like horned dragons, and they were either riding on divine beasts or sitting on Qilin lions. All of them looked like ancient war gods. So many experts. Motherfucker, even my human desires Tao wasn't this powerful at its peak. Li Tianji shrunk his neck, and his entire body exuded cold air. The ancient barbarian tribes were too mysterious and powerful. No wonder they dared to say that even if the undying divine dynasty bullied them, they still dared to slaughter their way over and completely overturn them. Some of these ferocious people who appeared on savage beasts are powerful. There are so many of them, and they are so powerful. Yen Ishi felt like he was about to suffocate. Loud roars sounded. There were human figures everywhere, and all of them rose into the air. There were old and young, and all of them were incomparably wild and valiant. They held terrifying ancient weapons in their hands. This group of people didn't have mounts, but every one of them possessed terrifying magical force. The main point was that they covered the mountains and plains, and there were too many of them. Report. In the distant sky, someone rode on a fierce bird and flew into the depths of the mountain range like a bolt of lightning. He reported loudly, "The forces that Wang clan left in southern mountains have entered the desolate mountains and are searching for our clansmen. They have spread the word that no matter where Dongfang Ye's village escapes to, they will hunt them down and massacre them all." An old barbarian stood up on a cliff. His hair was flying in the air as he shouted, "Northern Plains Wang clan is going too far. This is the 3rd time they have massacred our clansmen. What do you think we should do? Kill our way into Northern Plains, and destroy their clansmen with our strongest battle power. Counterattack, destroy Northern Plains Wang clan, and let the ancient war god's fury burn through Northern Plains. They want to massacre our clansmen, so we will destroy their clansmen and erase the so-called ancient clans from this world forever." The old men and women were shouting furiously, and their battle intent soared to the sky. The mountains and plains were filled with human figures, and the roars of beasts could be heard. The crowd was in high spirits, and all of them wanted to kill their way into Northern Plains. Good, today, all the experts of our clan will gather and enter Northern Plains. We will kill them all, kill them all. The old tribe leader on the cliff shouted, and countless people below responded. Kill them all, invade Northern Plains, and beat them until they bleed. Humiliating our clan, massacring our land, we can't bear it anymore, we will flatten them. Kill them all. The barbarian army's banners fluttered in the wind, and killing intent soared into the sky. All of them were in high spirits as they waved their smoke cudgels. Everyone's blood was boiling, and they couldn't wait to kill their way over. Chapter 767. First, exterminate this group of bastards who dared to massacre my tribe for the third time. Use them as a sacrifice and send troops to the northern plains to wipe out the Wang family. On the rocky cliff, the old chief of the barbarian tribe shouted, "Kill this group of murderers who destroyed our homeland, kill them all. Don't let a single person go, let this group of bastards never return, smash them all to pieces." The crowd was enraged. When they were about to set off, there were people who dared to enter the ancient mountain to search for their whereabouts. They chased after the people of the ancient village and threatened to exterminate them. This was an insult and provocation to the barbarian tribe. Yi Fan and Yen Ishi sighed inwardly. This group of people was truly courting death. They simply didn't understand how terrifying the barbarian tribe was. According to the strength they had seen, they absolutely dared to overturn any major power. They were fearless no matter who they met. Ooh! The ancient bull's horn rumbled like muffled thunder. The entire mountain range and ravine were shaking. Oh! The roars of beasts pierced through the clouds and shook the vast sky. Strange beasts with dense scales soared into the sky one after another. They were extremely terrifying. Don't let a single person go. This was a terrifying scene. When these strange beasts soared into the sky, they were like black clouds that connected together and covered the sky, causing the entire desolate mountain range to tremble. The Wang family was an ancient family in the northern plains, one of the most prosperous powers in the world. They had arrangements in various places, and the southern mountains was naturally no exception, especially now that they were plotting against this place. This time, Wang Chengtian used the power of the holy weapon to kill Yi Fan, and the people arranged in the southern mountains also moved at the same time to wipe out the barbarian tribe in the southern mountains. After these people joined forces and entered the mountain, they indeed killed a few barbarian youths who went out to hunt. They also threatened to massacre the ancient tribe. However, they absolutely didn't expect this tribe to be so big and so terrifying. At this moment, the sounds of killing shook the heavens. It was as if 100,000 heavenly generals and soldiers descended from the sky. Black clouds rolled and black fog covered the sky. It was as if there were countless demonic gods riding strange beasts galloping over, pressing down on the sky. How many people are there? Why are they so powerful? This is completely different from what we know. This is too terrifying. This is a group of barbarian warriors. I remember some legends. Could it be that such a terrifying tribe really exists? According to the legends, the entire southern mountains range was ruled by a group of barbarians in the ancient times. However, their inheritance was mysteriously severed in the end. Could it be that they lived in seclusion here? When the people who were surrounded thought of this, they all felt their scalps tighten and their bodies turn cold. They felt as if every pore was being filled with ice shards, and even their souls were being frozen. If that was the case, not only would they all die here, even Northern Plains Wang clan would face a great calamity. But those are just legends. They weren't recorded in any history books. How did they become true? These people were filled with terror and unwillingness. Facing the endless barbarian warriors, they began to flee. However, blood blossomed one after another, and people were continuously smashed into meat paste. Spare me! Let us go! This was a massacre. The barbarians were honest and upright. They could treat their friends with sincerity, but they were cold and merciless towards those who massacred their homeland. With a wave of the Wolf Fang Club, a head was immediately smashed open. The skull flew out and white brain matter splashed high into the air. With a sweep of the stone axe, several experts were cut in half at the waist. The blood was as wild as the Baotu Spring. Bright red steam rose into the air, and the stench of blood was pungent. This was a bloody scene that made people want to vomit. Ordinary people would not be able to witness it. Without any suspense, the people who came to massacre the ancient village for the third time were all killed. Not a single person escaped. They were completely annihilated. Woo woo, the ancient war bugle horn sounded, and the barbarian warriors returned. Many of their weapons were stained with blood, and all of them were incomparably excited. This was the bloodline passed down to them by their ancestors. The more they fought, the stronger they became. Every one of them had a trace of the ancient war god's bloodline, making them the strongest warriors in southern mountains range. There was a huge empty space in the tribe, and there was an ancient formation platform there. It had long been engraved with the marks of time, left behind by the ancient era. Every piece of huge stone used to construct this teleportation formation was very particular. Although countless years had passed, there was not a single bit of damage. At this time, there were barbarian elders setting up the coordinates, and the ancient platform began to revive, flickering with a strange light. Hexagram star formation, resonating with the stars in the sky. Not only can it travel to all parts of the world, it can even go to outer regions and enter the starry sky, Yen Ishi said in astonishment. There were tens of thousands of barbarian warriors, and even the sky was covered. Everyone was lined up in an orderly manner, stepping onto the ancient formation platform and entering a huge realm gate. Children, the power bestowed upon us by our ancestors can now be put to use. For the safety of our tribesmen, for the dignity of our race, we must enter Northern Plains today and fight a bloody battle. Bring out your courage, and let the entire Northern Plains tremble wherever the vanguard points. The elders of the barbarian tribe were still mobilizing their troops and stirring up everyone's courage before they set off for battle. In truth, after the small battle just now, everyone's blood was already boiling. It was the most suitable time to enter Northern Plains. In the outside world, no one knew that there was such a terrifying tribe living in seclusion in the depths of this endless primitive mountain range, and they would not know that they were going on an expedition today. Even though it was so noisy here, the human and demonic races still could not sense it. A terrifying army that could shake the entire 5 regions had set off. Team after team of people stepped onto the ancient battle platform and disappeared from the barbarian tribe. None of them spoke, but their blood was boiling. They were incomparably excited as they prepared for an earth-shattering battle. This was the barbarian race, natural warriors who had grown up in the forests and faced all kinds of ferocious birds and beasts. They were already used to blood and life and death. At this time, not a single one of them was afraid. Yi Fan could not help but sigh. This kind of courage was hard to come by in a bustling city or a peaceful field. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why the barbarian ancestors wanted them to hide in the great wilderness. Is there no one left to guard the tribe? Yi Fan asked. It was better to be safe than sorry. If someone really came here during this period of time, it would not be good. Don't worry, we have enough strength to adapt. An old barbarian warrior said. He inadvertently glanced at the black tortoise by the pond not far away. It was motionless, like a black rock. The vast northern plains was vast and boundless. This was a boundless grassland. It was incomparably desolate and sparsely populated. Sometimes, one could walk for more than 10 years without seeing a single person. On this piece of land, the population was relatively concentrated in a few regions. 80% of the regions were barren, with wolves and jackals roaming and evil beasts roaming about. Woo! In the depths of the grassland, a lone wolf howled. It was incomparably desolate. A terrifying army walked out from a black realm gate one after another. Everyone was silent, releasing blood energy as they held weapons in their hands. No one knew that a great battle that would shock the 5 regions was about to begin. Since the end of the Dark Ages, this was the first time someone had attacked an immortal inheritance and a terrifying ancient family. Roar! The azure dragon appeared with 9 living fossils on its back. After spreading its wings, it covered the sky and drowned the grassland. It spiraled into the sky. Roar! The white tiger leapt out. It was as huge as a mountain and cracked the ground with its feet. It carried more than 30 barbarian elders on its journey. The sky was densely packed with people. The golden divine Ho, purple Qilin, and other strange beasts appeared one after another with powerful barbarian warriors on their backs. Their battle intent surged. The leaden clouds were thick and heavy. It was incomparably stifling. This was a gray world. The entire grassland was desolate. The sky was gloomy and dusky, and the thick clouds were suffocating. This battle is destined to be a bloodbath and a mountain of corpses. Millions upon millions of creatures on this vast land will tremble. We can only win and not lose. Victory in battle, victory in attack. This was a terrifying aura that could collapse mountains and rivers, overturn the sky, and cause the sun and moon to fall. Today's battle might cause an immortal inheritance to be forever erased from the earth. It was a terrifying event that had never happened since the Dark Ages. Of course, it might be a sad song. This ancient tribe of the southern mountains might also perish and cease to exist. An earth-shattering change was about to begin. This battle was destined to have a far-reaching impact. It was vast and mighty, and it would affect tens of thousands of sections. The silent army, terrifying pressure, silently advanced. They gripped their weapons, and in this silent process, they were preparing to unleash a heaven-shattering strike. Eastern wasteland, central plains, and western desert, all the great powers gathered at the southern mountains. Some terrifying enemies had already set off to deal with Yi Fan, but they did not know that the shocking battlefield had already shifted. Saint Physique is alone. So what if he is strong? Can he fight against a great sect? If there is a great sect attacking the Saint Physique at full force, will he not die with a grievance? While people were doubting in the southern mountains, Yi Fan led the barbarian army and approached the Wang family of the northern plains. The dark clouds became heavier and covered the entire sky. The grassland was silent like a land of death. The atmosphere was so oppressive that it was hard to breathe. The ground was covered in darkness while the sky was densely packed. The silent army was full of vigor and blood. There was a terrifying killing intent surging around them. There was no armor, no battle suit. Everyone was wearing animal skin clothes, and one of their arms was bare. Their bronze-colored bodies were strong, and their muscles were bulging. It was as if there were dragons coiling around their bodies. Some of them were holding big clubs, while others were carrying stone axes on their backs. At this moment, the attack was about to begin when they were 1,000 miles away from the Wang family. The old tribe leader waved his hand and the army divided into 4 groups. They advanced silently and started to flank the Wang family. The azure dragon that could blot out the sky and cover the sun with one of its wings was carrying 9 living fossils. It led an overwhelming number of barbarian warriors to attack the main gate. It was a guardian god that had lived for 3,900 years. Its strength was terrifying. The guardian god White Tiger that was as big as a mountain carried 32,000 years old terrifying elders. It led the barbarian warriors to attack from the north gate. The leader of the barbarian race stood on a rock that looked as if it was cast from gold. He brought a sky full of terrifying experts riding on barbarian beasts to attack from the east. In the hands of the old tribe leader was a terrifying stone axe. It was flowing with the aura of an ancient saint. It was a sacred weapon passed down through the generations and came from the hands of the great sage. Yi Fan was also given a heavy responsibility. He wielded the peerlessly terrifying goddess furnace and led the countless barbarian warriors to attack from the west. Azure Dragon and White Tiger, these 2 guardian gods also have the aura of the ancient sacred weapon. When Yi Fan held the goddess furnace, he sensed something. Used the sacred weapons of the 4 directions to tear apart the Wang family's ancient divine formation. The heavenly army will suddenly descend. Tens of thousands of barbarian warriors will directly attack without giving them any time to react. Let's hope we succeed in one battle. Whether it would be a desolate ancient aristocratic family that would be erased forever or the barbarian army would die in hatred in the northern plains would be revealed in this world-shaking battle. Gotcha! A blood-colored lightning tore through the dark sky. At this time, the barbarian army began their attack towards the Wang family. Chapter 768. The black clouds pressing down on the ground. It was as if tens of thousands of black mountains had descended, piling on top of each other. The pressure was so heavy that it was difficult to breathe, causing one's heart to palpitate. When they were only several hundred li away from the Wang family, tens of thousands of barbarian soldiers surrounded them and began to attack at top speed. The prologue of the heaven-shattering battle had begun. The army of beasts trampled on the ground like a black flood, whistling past and causing the earth to tremble. Who are these people? Where did so many soldiers come from? The Wang family had hidden sentries that were patrolling the land several hundred li away. Pooh! Blood splashed out as an arrow pierced through the throat. The divine archers of the barbarian race rode on strange beasts, all of them drawing their bows. The speed of their mounts did not decrease at all as they charged forward like a flood. The bows in their hands were pulled to a full crescent, and ancient divine arrows pierced through the clouds one after another, flying over 10 li. Blood continuously blossomed in a ghastly red. Under the leaden clouds, lives were reaped one after another, collapsing to the ground. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Tens of thousands of beasts rushed past, trampling all the corpses into a bloody paste. Not a single person was able to escape. Divine archery was one of the secret arts of the barbarian race. It was always a sure kill shot. With so many people, as long as some of them fired their bows, no one would be able to stop them. Not good, a great enemy has invaded, quickly sound the alarm. There were too many hidden sentries in this several hundred li area, but at first, no one could successfully sound the alarm. Horses galloped across the grassland, accompanied by tens of thousands of barbarian soldiers. Their blood energy rushed out, and wherever their weapons went, they were like an unstoppable group of ancient war gods. Who are these people? Quickly report to the family, someone is attacking our Wang family. In the sky, there were also patrollers, but their fates were even more miserable. When the flood of steel on the ground whistled past, there were several 2,000-year-old divine archers who drew their bows. The arrows they shot were several dozen li long, piercing through the enemies one after another. There's an ancient castle in the sky. The Wang family was very generous. There were many ancient watchtowers hidden in the clouds 100 li away from the family, monitoring the movements in all directions. Not even the slightest movement could escape their eyes. However, the southern mountains barbarians were already prepared. There were also tens of thousands of riders in the sky, riding on all kinds of strange beasts, galloping on the clouds, rumbling as they passed, trampling all the buildings. However, when faced with any obstructions, the spear would charge forward and collapse upon impact. Ancient watchtowers were reduced to rubble one after another. Those who wanted to escape to deliver the message were all overtaken and trampled into mush by the savage beasts. Only a bloody mist was left behind. Whether it was in the sky or on the ground, the silhouettes of the barbarian warriors could be seen everywhere. Wherever they went, they destroyed everything in their way. Yi Fan and Li Tian were both apprehensive. This was simply an unstoppable army, and they had an indescribably terrifying bloodlust. At this time, blood qi rushed out from the top of everyone's head. Tens of thousands of them mixed together, like a group of Azuras bathed in blood. All of the cavalrymen were dyed in a layer of blood red. This was a terrifying aura, as if they had the blood of a war god protecting them, making them unstoppable. It was getting closer. When it was 50 li from Wang family, an alarm sounded. There was a powerful being overseeing this place, so it couldn't be eliminated ahead of time. Clang! The sound of the bell echoed for hundreds of li, shaking everyone's eardrums. This was a sturdy defensive structure that hadn't been used for who knew how many tens of thousands of years. Even though there were people stationed here normally, who would have thought that someone would dare to attack Wang family? They were the rulers of northern plains, looking down on the world and ruling over an area. The people here had long lost their vigilance and didn't think that anyone would dare to attack. They felt that it was useless. However, everyone's expression changed at this time. After the alarm was sounded, they rushed into the sky and took out all kinds of weapons to defend. However, all of this was futile. The barbarian cavalry moved unhindered, each of them incomparably brave. They held stone axes and wolf fang clubs as they charged forward. Ancient war watchtowers, small-scale floating cities and other things were erected in the sky. They were supposed to be an immortal defense, but when the cavalry charged and trampled on the void, they all collapsed. Everywhere the barbarian warriors went, blood qi pervaded the air as they swept through everything in their path. There was truly nothing that could obstruct their advance. Ah! The people stationed here screamed continuously. They were either pierced by the cold spears, dripping with blood, or smashed into meat paste with broken bones flying everywhere. This was a massacre that was on a completely different level. How could several hundred experts resist so many cavalry? It was like an ant trying to shake a tree. They couldn't even escape. Even two great experts couldn't escape and were personally shot to death by a living fossil-level divine archer. 2 arrows pierced through, and the terrifying arrow feathers carried their corpses 2 to 3 li away before shattering into pieces. Wang family was in chaos. Hearing the alarm bell, everyone was shocked. What kind of unforeseen event was this? That bell had not rung for 10,000 years. The distance of 50 li was very short. Even if Wang family heard the bell, it was already too late. Tens of thousands of cavalry arrived in an instant, people shouting and beasts roaring. Kill! At this moment, the barbarian warriors who had been silent for a long time all erupted with shocking killing intent. With one roar, the mountains and rivers moved, and the entire grassland looked like it was about to collapse. This was a flood of steel. Nothing could obstruct their footwork. They were like war gods that slaughtered their way in, sweeping everything in their path. Boom! The ancient war palaces and floating islands outside the Wang family immediately shattered into pieces, turning into piles of rubble and broken rocks. In front of them, mountain ridges stretched across the land like giant dragons. This was one of the few mountainous regions in the grassland. The Wang family was located in the middle. According to the feng shui master, this was a land of soaring dragons that could make a family flourish and have a long life. Tens of thousands of barbarians surrounded the clan of the remote antiquity. Everyone raised their weapons, ready to launch an earth-shattering attack. Everyone was gathering their ancient battle chi. This was not a confrontation between two armies, so there was no need for a direct confrontation. They had come purely for revenge. Speed was the most important thing in war, so they were going to launch the fiercest attack. In the south, the azure dragon flapped its huge wings and smashed the mountain ridges in front of it. It was a terrifying scene. Broken mountains were sent flying, and huge ridges were uprooted. Earth and stones were tumbling, and the sky was filled with dark clouds. This was the overlord of the azure sky, one of the protectors of the barbarians. It had been raised by the previous leader and had existed for more than 3,900 years. Its strength was unfathomable. Roar! The azure dragon roared, and many more mountains collapsed. Moreover, a green light flew out from its mouth, emitting a horrifying aura. It was as if a saint was awakening. What it spat out was a green saber, but the aura that could destroy heaven and earth came from the saber's blade. Everywhere, the prairie was trembling. It was as if a god of war was awakening and was about to destroy this world. Powerful, majestic, oppressive, and blazing aura filled the air. The azure dragon blade. There was a vivid and lifelike azure dragon engraved on it. The blade's body was simple and unadorned, but it was imposing. Its murderous intent seemed to want to throw the world into chaos, frightening the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, it was not without flaws. This was a damaged saint's weapon. It was missing a part, and the blade was broken. The azure dragon engraved on it was missing a section. Although it was not a sacred weapon, after being spat out by the barbarian race's guardian god, it still possessed a domineering might. The azure dragon saber slashed down from the sky, and with a hong sound, it was as if a world had been split open. The Wang family's southern gate released a blinding brilliance. This was the ancient saint's great defensive formation, but now, it was cracked and shaken. A huge hole had been cut open. Outside the northern gate, there was also a terrifying scene of mountains collapsing and rubble piercing through the sky. It was because another protector was moving. It was as tall as a mountain, and it carried more than 32,000 years old barbarian elders as it crushed all obstacles in its way. Ho! The white tiger roared, and the sky shook greatly. It spat out a bone club that was as white as jade, and it smashed towards the northern gate's great formation. This was also a damaged sacred weapon. It was refined from the arm bone of an ancient saint. It was warm and white, but there were many cracks on its surface. It had been damaged before, and it had lost its divine power. The white tiger roared and continued to attack with the bone club, tearing a large hole in the ancient divine formation. A huge gap appeared, and it continuously expanded. At the eastern gate, the mountains outside were flattened. The old clan master led an army of over 10,000 to attack together. Meanwhile, the most terrifying thing was naturally the stone axe in the old clan master's hands. It was simple and unadorned, but just a look at it would make one's heart tremble. This was the sacred weapon passed down through the ages by the barbarian race's great sage. It was perfect and flawless. It possessed incomparable offensive power. When the axe hacked down, it was as if the 10,000 worlds in the heavens were going to collapse. The destructive aura made the entire grassland cave in. Wang family's eastern gate was hacked open, collapsing in front of it. A corner of the ancient Great Formation was lifted, but it couldn't stop the great army's advance. From the west, Yi Fan held the goddess furnace in his hands as he led the way. Behind him, banners fluttered in the wind. Over 10,000 armored cavalry galloped forward, trampling on the heavens as they arrived. "Open for me!" Yi Fan roared. Sun holy force circulated, and the extreme Yang divine point erupted. The fist-sized divine furnace shone resplendently as it smashed into Wang family's western gate. Mountains collapsed and the earth split apart. The great gate was blasted into pieces, and a crack was torn open in the great formation laid down by the ancient saints. Over 10,000 armored cavalry shouted, their bodies bathed in bloody light as they slaughtered with all of their strength. "Open!" Yi Fan released another loud shout. The goddess furnace battered against this ancient formation, continuously shaking, making the flaws in the formation patterns become greater and greater. In the end, the western gate was broken through. Over 10,000 armored cavalry charged straight in. Wherever the wolf-tooth club pointed, the walls collapsed. "Kill!" At this moment, shouts of war shook the heavens. There was a great army in all directions. With the 4 ancient holy weapons opening the way, Wang family's great defensive formation collapsed, becoming a ruined formation that lost its use. Even though the weapons of the Azure Dragon and White Tiger protectors were lacking, they were powerful enough themselves, making up for all of this. Wang family was an undying ancient family, so they were naturally powerful enough. There were many divine islands floating in the sky, and there were even more divine mountains that hung from the heavens. Silver waterfalls poured down, creating an extremely magnificent sight. Tens of thousands of armored cavalry slaughtered their way over. Islands and ancient mountains were torn apart one after another, falling down. After a period of chaos, Wang family's experts faced the enemy. "Who are you people? Why are you attacking my Wang family?" Someone shouted. Everything happened too quickly. The 4 great gates were broken through, and it seemed to have been completed at the same time. Even someone as powerful as the Wang family was shocked. This was definitely an unimaginably great enemy. Unless one had 3 or 4 divine weapons, there was no way they could accomplish this. Just the thought of it made one's hair stand on end. "I am the Yi Fan you all want to kill. Today, I have come to eliminate you all. I am going to flatten the ancient family with my armored cavalry." Yi Fan stood in the air. His black hair danced about crazily, and his eyes were fierce. He released a great roar that rang through the boundless great earth. There was a type of monarch descending upon the world. A shocking great battle was unavoidable. Blood seemed to have dyed the grassland red, and bones seemed to have formed mountains. Chapter 769. What? It's your divine body. There's also a group of barbarians from the southern mountains range. Kill them all. Everyone from the Wang family was furious. Many powerful individuals took action, flying into the sky and activating their weapons. They had never thought that Yi Fan would dare to act so arrogantly against an ancient family. The entire Wang family hated him and wanted to get rid of him at all times, yet he actually came to their doorstep. Of course, they were also filled with shock. This group of barbarian soldiers was too powerful. Tens of thousands of them moved out together. They were truly an army of tigers and wolves, a group of unrivaled war maniacs. Blood energy overflowed into the heavens and surged with battle intent. The roars of men and beasts could be heard. It was as if a group of ancient war gods had reincarnated. Wherever they passed, mountains would collapse and the earth would crack. It was unknown just how many divine islands were destroyed. The army of tens of thousands roared loudly. Each and every one of them brandished their clubs, giant axes, and long spears. The destructive power was astonishing. Blossoms of blood flew everywhere. No one could stop them. Kill. Kill until the sky is dyed red with blood. Kill until the dawn that people look forward to. Let the Wang family be forever erased from this world. Yi Fan shouted loudly. Kill! Behind Yi Fan, the barbarian army he led had no less than a dozen powerful individuals. They were also like hot-blooded madmen as they roared and slaughtered. Kill the Wang family. Wipe out the hatred of our clansmen and take revenge for you. Overturn the so-called immortal inheritance. Tens of thousands of people roared. The scene was too shocking, and even the sky seemed like it was going to collapse. Motherfucker, this group of barbarians is truly manly. Not a single one of them is afraid of death. I've been infected. Li Tiando felt his blood boil as he charged out together with them. The Wang family's reaction was swift. Countless experts rushed into the sky. Moreover, there were holy weapons awakening in the depths of the family. They emitted a terrifying might as they penetrated into the distance. Since ancient times, no one has ever dared to attack my Wang family like this. You all will pay the price in blood. An aged voice shouted. Countless armored cavalry stepped into the ancient family. This was a magnificent feat that had never happened in the past 100,000 years. The Wang family's people were all stupefied, but they were also extremely furious. This was a sky filled with blood. Battle cries and sword shadows could be heard everywhere. The two ancient inheritances unfolded a chaotic battle that resembled a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Blood splattered everywhere and corpses fell to the ground. It was an incomparably bitter scene. Yi Fan charged at the very front. He returned the goddess furnace to Li Tian and Yen Ishi so that they could use it as a deterrent. This kind of weapon was indeed terrifyingly powerful, but the divine power it consumed was too majestic. Unless one was a saint, no one could wield it for a long time to kill an enemy. Most of them were used to balance the enemy's holy weapons, and the deterrent effect was far greater than the actual killing effect. Yi Fan charged into the crowd of enemies and shouted, People of the Wang family, come and die. Today I, Yi Fan, have killed my way here. What can you do to me? Kill them. Kill them all. Wang family's powerful figures all moved out, many people hurrying towards the western gate. At this moment, everyone's eyes were red. All words were useless, they could only fight to the death. Either the Wang family would be exterminated, or the barbarian race would all die in battle. There were no other results. At this moment, one side had to be completely wiped out. Comparatively speaking, the Wang family already had no path of retreat. The other side had broken through the great formation laid down by the ancient saints and slaughtered their way in. They could only fight to the death. A figure with long sleeves fluttered about, moving like a snake and leaping like a monkey. He was extremely vigorous as he quickly closed in, facing off against Yi Fan. This was one of Wang family's leading figures. His seniority was extremely high, and he was already one step past the Immortal 3 executions of the Tao stage. He was 3,000 years old, and his eyes were like golden pearls. His hair had also turned yellow. This was the characteristic of an elder with a long lifespan and abundant vitality. If he was given time, this was a terrifying figure who had hope of breaking through into the king level. He rushed over murderously like a snake and a crane, pouncing like a tiger and jumping like an antelope. Every one of his movements was extremely strange, and every strike was extremely simple. However, it was extremely terrifying, bringing great pressure to even Yi Fan. This was definitely someone who had broken through the 6 or 7 restrictions, so he was naturally powerful enough. At times, he was like an old snake, and at other times, he was like a violent ape. At times, he was like an immortal crane, and at times, he was like an antelope. There was no way to track him down. Pa, bang, Yi Fan was astonished as he fought against him. There was no lack of experts in the Jianghu family after all. This elder was extremely powerful, and every strike flickered with Dao traces. They secretly contained a terrifying great killing technique. The two fought intensely, and it was difficult for the bystanders to interfere. In the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged over 100 moves. Both of them were extremely fast. This yellow-haired elder's large sleeves fluttered about at times, appearing graceful like a banished immortal. At other times, he was incomparably fierce like a lone wolf pouncing on its prey. "Let's go together and kill him." There were other powerful figures from the Wang family who forcefully broke through and wanted to join in the battle against Yi Fan. A group of barbarians cried out loudly. Among them, there were more than 10 powerful figures who were bare-armed. Their muscles were bronze in color as they brandished their stone axes to resist. They had gone completely berserk as their blood energy gushed out and their hair danced about chaotically. Yi Fan and this terrifying elder finally decided the victor. He continuously smashed out 108 fists, and his pair of golden fists shattered the vacuum. The yellow-haired elder's arm spasmed, and his bones cracked. Even though they had collided through the air and clashed with divine power, he still suffered serious injuries. During this process, Yi Fan was also evolving, and he had a rough understanding of this elder's Dao traces. It was the same as the snake moves and crane strikes, and the tiger pounces and antelope leaps. This was actually a type of beast king fist. Pooh! Yi Fan used the crane strikes. His palm was like a crane's beak as he blocked the elder's desperate attack. He then leapt up like an ape and plucked off the elder's head with a pu sound. Blood splashed high into the air. Ninth great uncle. Behind him, many people from the Wang family cried out in alarm. It was clear that Yi Fan had killed an extremely important figure. Kill! The Wang family attacked as a group, all of them surrounding and attacking Yi Fan. Many people's eyes were red from the slaughter. Motherfucker, who's scared of who? Just kill. Li Tian followed up, joining in the great battle. At this moment, even the carefree and elegant Yan Ishi's white clothes were dyed in blood. He attacked the enemies, fighting between life and death. Flowers of blood blossomed one after another. Who's scared of who? Yi Fan sneered. He had a divine physique, and what he feared the least was this kind of chaotic battle. He supported the golden sacred domain, and it was simply like a meat grinder. He slaughtered his way forward, sweeping through everything in his path. In the direction of the Wang family's western gate, shattered bones and flesh continuously flew about. The battle had reached its climax. Yi Fan was like an arrowhead, slaughtering at the very front. Wherever he passed, there were endless casualties. Pooh! Yi Fan's large golden palm imprint slammed down. Even a powerful existence couldn't withstand it. They didn't even have time to release a grunt before their bodies were smashed into a lump of flesh. Then he released a light shout from his mouth, using the fighting character to evolve the 6-syllable incantation of Buddhism. A divine sound was released, and the heavens collapsed. This was the highest secret technique of Buddhism. When cultivated to the highest level, it would contain the universe's great wisdom, perseverance, and benevolence. It had the power to split open the heavens and earth, and it could subdue deities in the heavens. Up ahead, the sky was full of cultivators screaming miserably. Groups of experts collapsed one after another. Under this divine sound, there were powerful existences that were torn to pieces. Yi Fan released a short shout. A blood-dyed sky appeared in front of them. Many people had their bones crushed, turning into a bloody mist. This was an extremely terrifying scene. In the west, there was a death god like Yi Fan charging at the very front. He attacked ruthlessly, advancing extremely quickly. The Wang family's losses were disastrous. At this moment, the barbarian race's terrifying battle prowess was undoubtedly displayed. Over 10,000 armored cavalry gathered together. The bloody light that rushed out from their skulls connected together, surrounding the entire army. Blood energy curled about. It was as if they were bathed in the blood of an ancient war god. They fearlessly charged forward, becoming a single entity. They could borrow strength from each other, becoming an inseparable 10,000-man cavalry army, advancing together. This was an incomparably terrifying scene. Over 10,000 people became one, charging murderously together. If gods stood in their way, they would kill gods. If Buddhas stood in their way, they would execute Buddhas. In the sky, the floating divine cliffs and islands collapsed one after another. Wherever the barbarian race's soldiers went, they couldn't stop them at all. They were all destroyed. Wang family's experts suffered countless casualties. There was originally a troop of 1,000 that was extremely brave and fierce, not fearing death. There was no lack of powerful figures among them, but when these 10,000 armored cavalry charged over, they were all trampled into bloody paste. Suddenly, a terrifying sound rang out from ahead. Ancient war chariots rushed into the sky one after another, flickering with chilly metallic luster. It was eerie and horrifying. There were over 1,000 war chariots blocking the way forward. Every single one of them was covered in blade marks and arrow holes. They had experienced the baptism of war, leaving behind the marks of time. The war chariots rumbled as they crushed through the sky. Over 1,000 ancient war chariots charged over, causing the entire sky to tremble. It was as if they were going to collapse the heavens. In individual battles, these powerful war chariots weren't nimble enough. However, at this moment, the 10,000 armored cavalry displayed incomparably terrifying divine might. They combined together, crushing the heaven and earth. They rumbled as they rushed over with unstoppable offensive power, destroying everything in their way. Humans shouted and beasts hissed. The barbarian race's armored cavalry suffered a great loss. When they collided with these colossal figures, they fell like wheat being cut down. Lives were lost one after another, and blood blossomed everywhere. Over 1,000 ancient war chariots led by more than 10 powerful figures were all branded with terrifying Tao patterns. When combined together, they were like a metal vicious beast that devoured life. The sky was like an Asura's killing field. The fireworks, ignited with their lives, bloomed. It was temporary brilliance, but eternal death followed. Blood dripped everywhere as corpses fell in piles. The battle was just this bitter. No words could describe it. It was unknown just how many corpses there were on the ground. This was a sky dyed red with blood. It was just a fairy tale to take down a clan of the desolate era without casualties. It was impossible in reality. One had to experience the cruelty of blood and bones. The thousands of ancient war chariots were like meat grinders as they reaped the lives of barbarian warriors one after another. They quickly stopped and adjusted their formation. Yi Fan was covered in blood as he fought with all his might. In this sea of people, he killed his way to the front. The 6 paths of reincarnation fist smashed one terrifying war chariot after another. In this way, the Wang family was finally thrown into chaos. They stopped the attack, and the barbarian race's armored cavalry fell back and began to regroup. Divine archery technique. An old man from the barbarian race shouted. This was an archer who had lived for 3,000 years. He was a terrifying existence on the level of a living fossil. The less than 10,000 armored cavalry were all solemn. Not a single one of them feared death. Instead, they became even more iron-blooded. All of them took out their bows and began to shoot. This was a secret technique that the barbarian race had to master. It was known as one of the sure-kill techniques. At this moment, the blood energy that rushed out from the top of their heads became even more vigorous. They were completely submerged in a terrifying bloody mist. Every 100 barbarian race experts aimed at an ancient war chariot and shot out a terrifying arrow that contained their essence energy. Everyone's blood was boiling. Over 10,000 barbaric ancient divine arrows shot out at the same time. Endless blood energy linked together, and all of the arrows merged into one. Mountains and rivers collapsed as they shot out. Nearby, all of the islands and mountain ranges were turned into fine powder with piu-piu sounds. They were all destroyed under this kind of divine might. Many enormous war chariots were directly blasted apart and split into pieces. Half of the powerful beings were killed, dying a violent death. Divine archery technique. The old man shouted again. Everyone drew their bows again and launched another round of terrifying attacks. The barbaric ancient divine arrows pierced through heaven and earth, shattering over 100 ancient war chariots. Meanwhile, at this time, Yi Fan also took out the 10,000 Death's Bow. He had never cultivated the divine archery technique, but the golden holy arrows shot out from his peerless flesh shell were even more terrifying. Pooh! Pooh! Yi Fan shot out one arrow and poured all of his divine force into it. He killed 6 powerful beings in succession, shocking everyone on the spot. He was simply like a demon king. His black hair was dyed in blood, and his entire body was covered in blood. However, he was blossoming with endless radiance, forcing the Wang family experts into a state of chaos. "Those who block me shall die." Yi Fan roared loudly. His voice resounded through the world and tore through the sky. Up ahead, another great collapse took place. Groups of experts were blasted into pieces, turning into a bloody mist. A large expanse of blood-colored sky appeared. The battle against the Jianghu family had reached its climax. In the distance, there were already ancient holy weapons clashing. Corpses piled up into mountains and blood flowed everywhere. Great Completion King-level figures. In the distance, cries of alarm could be heard. Terrifying fluctuations could be felt. At this point in the battle, a matchless figure had appeared. Chapter 770. At this moment, a Great Completion King-level expert appeared. Cries of alarm rang out from the front as lives continuously disappeared. Rivers of blood flowed in front of them. Yi Fan was shocked at first, but then he calmed down. This was because the barbarians did not fear life and death. They charged forward with iron and blood, so no one would cry out in fear. Sure enough, a muffled dragon roar confirmed his suspicions. A large number of experts from the Wang family retreated in defeat. They all cried out in alarm and quickly dodged. A Great Completion King-level savage beast, a mutant that has been passed down from the ancient times. 2,000 years ago, I saw it in the depths of the southern mountains. At that time, it had already lived for close to 2,000 years. Who would have thought that it would still be alive? Yi Fan let out a breath of relief. As expected of the barbarian race's guardian deity, it did not disappoint. It had lived for more than 3,900 years and was truly a Great Completion King-level beast. With this kind of savage beast, it could be said to be unstoppable. Once it erupted, no one along the way could resist. With a single attack, 8 or 9 great experts would die on the spot. The Azure Dragon attacked from the southern gate. On its back were 9 living fossils that had lived for more than 3,000 years. Behind them were large numbers of barbarian race warriors. They were like a mountain torrent with shocking aura that could destroy everything. The army of 1,000 charged forward and trampled on the Wang family. The Azure Dragon was at the front, and the 10,000 armored cavalry followed closely behind. They charged forward with iron and blood, faster than Yi Fan and the barbarian clan leader. They were about to reach the depths of the Wang family. "Old ancestor, please come out and revive the unmatched holy weapon." The people of the Wang family shouted loudly. Blood formed rivers, and corpses piled up into mountains. At this time, human lives were more valuable than grass. Both sides were bathed in blood, and there was no way out. They could only win by attacking, or else what awaited them would be the extermination of one side. The 4 armies attacked, but not all of them went smoothly. The barbarian clan leader encountered fierce resistance in the east. There was a living fossil holding a damaged holy weapon that launched a shocking attack from the side. If not for the old clan leader discovering it in time and intercepting it with the stone axe in his hand, the several thousand barbarian armored cavalry might have been turned into flying ashes. The might of a saint was simply impossible to resist. Even so, in that instant, there were more than 900 experts that couldn't even let out a groan before they were annihilated within the eastern gate. Boom! The barbarian leader was shocked and angry. He swung the stone axe in his hand. This was the perfect weapon left behind by the great sage of the human race. The strength of its divine power far exceeded that of the incomplete weapon. With this strike, the living fossil and his weapon were instantly reduced to ashes, unable to resist at all. Right now, everyone's eyes were red from killing. The barbarian tribe leader did not have the time to suppress and subdue a damaged holy weapon. If he kept it by his side, A great calamity might befall him, and he would suffer a backlash. Kill! In the east direction, after the two saint weapons clashed, nearly 10,000 cavalrymen swarmed in with unstoppable momentum. Especially the furious old clan leader, who did not hesitate to consume his life Zhen Yuan and once again activated his saint weapon. A stone axe hung high in the sky. It looked ordinary, even quite old-fashioned, but when it hacked down, heaven and earth split apart, as if it could pierce through the world. Wang family's eastern region, regardless of whether it was the Great Earth, the floating islands, or the divine peaks, they were all immediately blasted into dust, unknown just how many people lost their lives. Then, when the stone axe calmed down a bit, waves of earth and boulders shot high into the sky like a tsunami, completely submerging everything in front of them. The Eastern Great Army was no longer obstructed. They quickly advanced, their charging speed almost catching up to the Azure Dragon in the south, closing in on the Wang family's most important area. Auho! In the north, the White Tiger roared. The mountainous protector god charged and smashed everything in its path. With a swipe of its claw, Wang family's Dragon Mountain ancient vein was like paper, continuously destroyed. This was also a savage beast king. Even though it had not reached great success, it was still not something an ordinary person could resist. 7 or 8 of Wang family's great experts were killed by it. However, they also encountered the most terrifying obstruction here. The barbarian warriors fell one after another, and all of them were caused by a large green claw. Awu! In the rear of the Wang family, there was actually an old green wolf. This was a beast pet raised by an expert of the Wang family in the past. Who would have thought that it would eventually mature and live for 3,400 years? It still hadn't died, and its strength was similar to the white tiger. What was even more terrifying was that there was also a damaged holy weapon in its body. It was left here to protect the Wang family's rear. At this moment, it suddenly pounced out and killed a large number of barbarian soldiers. Finally, it clashed with the white tiger, fighting intensely. The tiger's roar and the wolf's howl shook the entire northern plains. The battle between the strange beasts was exceptionally bitter. Fur, flesh, and even bones were bitten off and torn off. Moreover, the divine techniques of the savage beasts were even more terrifying. Sometimes, they would engulf all directions, affecting the Wang family and the barbarian army, causing them to suffer heavy losses. Roar! One of the old wolf's eyes was slapped out by the tiger's claw. It also attacked at this time, almost cutting off one of the white tiger's shoulder blades. At the same time, the secret techniques unique to their race attacked. Their bodies were cracking and blood flowed out. They were so huge that when their blood landed on the ground, it was like a small river flowing down. The attacks of the 4 armies were all different. The pressure on Yi Fan's side was not small either. Although they were not attacked by people with holy weapons, nor did they encounter any terrifying ancient beasts, there were war tools blocking their way. As a renowned clan of the desolate era, they had to have the capital to conquer any region under the heavens. Naturally, they could not lack warships and ancient carriages. The western region of the Wang family was where these war tools were laid out. Thousands of ancient chariots blocked the way, clashing with the barbarian army. The number of experts who died in battle was innumerable. At this time, several hundred ice-cold warships rose into the sky even further away. They were even larger, and every single one of them was like a mountain. It was truly difficult for the barbarian cavalry to charge through. This is too abnormal. Why are we so unlucky? All of the Wang family's war tools are on this side, and we've encountered them. Li Tian complained. This was indeed the case. This was the Wang family's armory, and all of their war resources were here. It would be very difficult to charge through. If they tried to force their way through, there wouldn't be many barbarian cavalry left. There's no other way. I'll use my essence energy again. Yi Fan held a violet golden hammer in his hand and brandished it with all his strength. An expanse of blazing purple lightning surged forward. This was a weapon he seized from Wang Qingtian's hands. After being subdued by the goddess furnace, there were many cracks on its surface. However, its power did not decrease. The goddess furnace was perfect. As the weapon of the human race's great sage, the amount of divine force it consumed was even greater. Even if Yi Fan's flesh shell was unparalleled, he still wouldn't be able to endure it. It was because there would definitely be an even more intense battle ahead. Ahead, more than 400 war chariots collapsed, and more than 100 warships disintegrated. They turned into an expanse of light in the sky before completely disappearing. The aura of a holy weapon could be felt from ahead. There were people activating it as well, about to launch a thunderous attack. Yi Fan and the others' expressions changed. A powerful figure had arrived. It isn't a holy weapon, so it still has some flaws. Li Tian activated the goddess furnace and prepared to face the attack. They would all be destroyed in one battle. However, at this moment, the sound of a bugle horn came from the depths of the Wang family. The aura of a peerless holy weapon spread out like the sea, summoning its descendants. All the warships retreated, and many war chariots retreated to the depths of the family. Only endless wreckage and blood were left behind. It was a ghastly sight. As expected of the clan of the ancients. They are indeed difficult to deal with. Yi Fan sighed. He knew that the moment of life and death had arrived and that it would become even more bitter. Kill! Yi Fan was still the one leading the charge. The 9,000 cavalry followed closely behind, forming a dark mass. The mountains blocked the flat mountains, and the islands destroyed the islands. Along the way, they were like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Wherever the cavalry went, all obstacles would be turned into powder. Nothing would exist after the cavalry passed by. When Yi Fan and the others killed their way to the depths of the Wang family, the Azure Dragon and the barbarian tribe leader had already arrived. Their clothes were stained with blood and their bodies were covered in wounds. The White Tiger army was the last to arrive. This divine protector was heavily injured and on the verge of death. However, it had killed an old wolf that was breaking through to the king level and solved a great problem. Pang! When the White Tiger appeared with a bloody wolf head in its mouth and threw it to the ground, the entire Wang family was shaken. Everyone's faces turned pale. Ho! The White Tiger was unwilling but also fainted on the spot. It was quickly collected by an elder of the barbarian tribe into an important weapon for protection. Up ahead was the Wang family's divine land. The bugle horn had come from there, summoning all the clansmen to retreat to this place. The barbarian army surrounded this place with bloody mist drifting about. They were all preparing for the final attack. Who would have thought that the Southern Mountains barbarian war god tribe still exists? I thought their inheritance had long been severed and disappeared in the river of time. An aged voice rang out. The divine land opened up and an old man walked out. Although his hair was about to fall off, he was still hale and hearty. His voice was like the booming of a bronze bell, sonorous and forceful. All the people of the Wang family followed behind him respectfully. Experts were as common as the clouds, and they all emerged from the divine land. A great completion king-level expert. All the barbarian race people were shocked. This was the Wang family's old ancestor. He had lived for more than 3,700 years. Although he was emaciated, his blood energy was oppressive. His withered body was like a divine furnace that was burning. Many barbarian race experts felt their mouths go dry. Their bodies were about to collapse, and even their souls were about to burn. This was the divine might of a great completion king-level expert. Even though he was just standing there without taking action, it still made people's hearts jump. They couldn't help but want to kneel down and worship him. It was so terrifying that it made them go crazy. At the same time, the aura of an ancient supreme holy weapon filled the air. It could attack from the divine land at any time. It was as if they had arrived at the territory of a demonic god. The barbarian race leader raised the stone axe and let it float above the entire barbarian race army. The blood energy of many barbarian race warriors surged as they activated it together. The stone axe dropped down tens of thousands of strands of divine power, protecting everyone below and forming an unbreakable domain. Tens of thousands of armored cavalry trampling the Huanggu family. This is truly a magnificent feat not seen in 100,000 years. The terrifying Wang family elder spoke coldly. His name was Wang Lai, and he had cultivated for more than 3,700 years. His strength was terrifying and matchless. No matter what the result of this battle was, it would definitely make the 5 regions tremble. A battle against an undying inheritance could be considered a heaven-shocking change. How can we compare to you all? You control millions and millions of miles of the northern plains. If you aren't happy in the slightest, you can go to the southern mountains range and massacre my clan, said the barbarian race leader. At this moment, there was no need to say anything else. The battle had already reached this state, so no matter what kind of words they said, it would all be useless. They could only stop when one side collapsed and blood flowed out. Then let me see who can pass through me. The great completion king-level expert Wang Lai was expressionless. Green light flickered. The azure dragon quickly shrunk from the size of a great mountain to the height of a person. It spread its wings and surged with divine force. It was going to fight against the great completion king-level expert. Senior Azure Dragon, you must be careful. The barbarian race leader reminded. Children, you all should go and offer sacrifices to my clan's foundation. I don't believe there is anyone who can wipe out my Wang family. Today, we will kill all of our enemies and display our clan's undying might. The great completion king-level expert said in a low voice. Chapter 771. At this moment, a great accomplishment king-level expert spoke, wanting to use the family's reserve. This made many people feel fear and astonishment, wanting to understand what was going on. Reserve was a mysterious and strange term for the cultivators of the world. Everyone knew that the lands of the great sage all had terrifying reserves, but few knew what it represented. The azure dragon turned into the height of a person. Its divine might didn't decrease, but it became even more agile. It turned into a streak of green light and rushed over. Tao imprints flickered, and divine sounds surged. In the surroundings, everyone quickly retreated. They felt as if their eardrums were about to crack and their souls were unstable. They felt as if their bodies were about to be smashed into pieces. Dragon battles in the wild. This was a secret technique of the dragon race. Its body moved through the air, and a great steel wall rushed over. It swept down an expanse of green splendor, forming a divine domain. Wang Lai retreated like a ghost, evading this attack. Clang. Wang Lai spat out a magic zither and played it with force. A sound wave flew out, and it was as sharp as a heavenly blade. It cut open a great rift in the void, wanting to swallow the azure dragon inside. Green light flashed, and the dragon moved through the sky, crossing thousands of zhang. Then, it let out a light cry that shook the 9 heavens, shattering the sound wave. The 2 great accomplishment kings didn't face it head-on. At first, they were just probing, but these small methods all had great killing intent. If a sect master went up, they would have long been decapitated. Many of the Wang family's cultivators faced the divine earth and muttered something like an incantation. They were offering sacrifices. Deep accumulation, great fate, ancient inheritance, and immeasurable depth. This was what some people knew about the Holy Land. They believed that this was their reserve. However, those who truly understood would only shake their heads in horror, because this was far from enough. The so-called reserve was a true undying deterrence, and there were concrete objects. Sword cries shook the sky. Wang Lai quickly played the magic zither, and sound waves pierced through metal and cracked stone, rushing over like ocean waves. The azure dragon soared through the sky. With a shake of its wings, the sky was filled with dragon shadows, turning into tens of thousands. Under a single strike, ripples appeared, and the sound waves were destroyed. The mountain peaks outside the divine earth were also shattered one after another, turning into dust. Kill! At this moment, Wang Lai released a great roar. The probing ended, and he finally began to attack fiercely. He displayed a secret technique of the great Tao, and his entire body was surrounded by a divine ring. His appearance was dignified, and he was incredibly fierce. In his left eye, a blazing sun flickered and flew out. In his right eye, an ancient moon also appeared. It enlarged endlessly and suppressed outwards. Samsara of sun and moon seal. This kind of secret technique was very difficult to cultivate. In the process of cultivating it, It was easy to injure one's eyes and cause them to lose their sight forever. However, it was extremely powerful. The azure dragon was as tall as a person, and its body wasn't much different from a true dragon's. It only had an extra pair of divine wings, and azure splendor coiled around its body, making it look extremely valiant. Dragon blood flowed within its body, and its flesh was far more powerful than that of other races. The two horns on its head were like the sharpest holy swords in the world. They drew out streaks of green light that split the sky and collided with the samsara seal of sun and moon. Loud sounds rang out one after another. A man and a dragon rushed together and began to fight intensely. Everyone's eyes were dazzled. This was a battle between great perfection kings. The battle between the great perfection king tiers was extremely fast. Many people couldn't even see it clearly, and it didn't take long for hundreds of exchanges to pass. Pooh! The azure dragon released a long roar. Its dragon claws descended, tearing off 3 of the shriveled but terrifyingly powerful Wang Lai's ribs. Blood flowed everywhere, and the aura of the great Tao surged. Oho! At the same time, it also suffered serious injuries. One of its green divine wings was forcibly torn off by Wang Lai. Dragon blood splashed outwards, dyeing the skies red. Children, what are you waiting for? Destroy the Wang family's divine earth and wipe out this Huanggu family. Get revenge for our clansmen. The barbarian race chief roared. Kill these uncivilized savages. Don't let a single one of them escape. Wipe them all out. The Wang family's people also roared. They used all of their strength. If it wasn't for the fact that they were at a critical juncture and their clan was about to be wiped out, who would be able to see a great expert take action? In addition, regardless of whether it was the great experts that roamed the present world or those that had retired thousands of years ago, they all rose into the air. The Wang family's experts were all mobilized. Tens of thousands of armored cavalry weaved about. They made their way around the 2 great experts and slaughtered their way towards the Wang family's divine earth. Every single one of them was fearless as they fought to outdo each other. Their blood was boiling. Kill all of them. The Wang family's people also roared. Ancient chariots and warships appeared in the sky one after another. Only at this moment of life and death could the might of a Huanggu family be displayed to the fullest. People would discover that they were far more terrifying than they had imagined. The Wang family truly has too many experts. If they use their trump cards, how will we stop them? Li Tian was scared. The barbarian race chief did not reply, but he was very calm. He only waved his hand and said, "Children, kill." Before coming to Northern Plains, Yi Fan had mentioned the issue of trump cards to the barbarian race chief. The other party did not say anything, clearly showing that he was not afraid. Then let's kill. Attack the Wang family's divine earth and see what exactly is inside. Yi Fan had a heavenly sword in his left hand and a spear in his right hand. They were both seized. Clang. His sword descended, hacking apart an ancient ship that was as large as a mountain. Many of Wang family's experts inside all turned into blood and bones. The spear continued forward, continuously piercing through 9 ancient war chariots, nailing them to pieces. Human lives were even more valuable than grass. Boom! Within the divine earth, a terrifying aura surged as if it wanted to destroy the world. It was as if millions of volcanoes were erupting at the same time. A terrifying rune appeared and pressed forward. This was the might of a supreme holy weapon left behind by the Wang family's great sage. Now that it had awakened, a vast divine might surged forward. The barbarian race chief roared. The stone axe floating in the air also shook violently. There were at least 1,000 cavalrymen beside him, and there was no lack of great experts among them. Everyone's chi and blood surged as they activated this weapon together. The powerful aura was immediately pushed back and rushed into the divine earth. The pressure on everyone was greatly reduced. One could imagine how terrifying this stone axe would be if tens of thousands of barbarian soldiers activated it together. Kill! Yi Fan still attacked from the west with 9,000 cavalrymen. He, Yan Yishi, and Li Tian had the goddess furnace, so they had no fear. Many ancient ships and chariots were shot down, but at this time, A majestic aura surged violently. The sky was covered in darkness as over 100 ancient castles rose up, intimidating everyone's soul. Battle castles. They were completely made of refined gold and had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times. They were sturdy and immortal, far more terrifying than ancient ships and chariots. They were small cities. The 9,000 cavalrymen all stopped in their tracks. There was no way for them to break through. The Black Mass was especially terrifying. Every battle castle was a divine city of steel that was difficult to break through. They were like impregnable passes blocking the way. The 9,000 cavalrymen were silent. Their bodies were covered in blood. Facing these cold battle castles, it was too difficult for them to use their beasts to break through. There was a great Tao engraved on them, making it difficult to break through. However, not a single one of them was afraid or dispirited. They retreated in an orderly manner. Against a clan of the Jianghu, it was naive to think that they could not break through without paying a price. They were already prepared to die in battle. After pulling away enough, a living fossil shouted, "Raise your spears!" On the 9,000 cavalrymen, every barbarian soldier held a blood-red spear. The tip of the spear was cold and gloomy, flickering with a demonic splendor. "Kill!" At this moment, the 9,000 people roared in unison. The blood energy in the top of their heads increased by several times. Every one of them went berserk, and their battle prowess soared. Blood spear technique. The living fossil roared, ordering all the barbarian soldiers to use another killing technique. Their bodies were glowing and dripping with blood. Every one of them seemed to be forged from steel, resolute and powerful. "Kill!" After this order was issued, everyone roared and threw the spears in their hands. 9,000 beams of bloody light pierced through the sky and flew towards the divine city of steel. This was even more powerful and terrifying than the divine archery technique. The 9,000 beams of bloody light contained the barbarian soldiers' iron-like willpower. Infused with their battle chi, they were able to destroy everything in their path. This was a strange sound that seemed to pierce through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Even the gods were enraged. Howling sounds and terrifying rumbling sounds rang out at the same time. At first, the people of the Wang family were sneering. They wanted to crush the barbarian army with a terrifying war tool like the battle castle, but now they all turned pale with fright. Boom! The first huge metal city collapsed, followed by the second, the third, one after the other. The 9,000 bloody spears covered the sky and covered the earth. Each spear contained the soul and divine power of a barbarian soldier. They were endowed with life and were extremely powerful. Honglonglong. There were more than 10 ancient iron cities that were like mountains that broke apart, splitting apart in the sky dome, destroyed by the attacks. Everyone turned pale with fright. Even though there were still more than 80 divine cities, they still couldn't withstand this kind of attack. They would be completely destroyed sooner or later. However, the barbarian soldiers also paid a heavy price. Every one of their faces was a bit pale, losing a bit of color. Boom! Yi Fan was like a humanoid vicious beast. He slaughtered his way to the front and released a 6-pads reincarnation fist, using his own power to blast a metal city to pieces. He pressed forward and continued to fight. The barbarian soldiers were also roaring. Another round of blood spears flew out, passing through the shackles of space and time to descend. Boom! Another battle castle was destroyed, no longer existing. Only a wave of fluctuations like the trembling of the star domain was left behind. Wu! Bugle horn sounded. War castles, ancient ships, war chariots, and other things were densely packed. They submerged the skies and crushed over. The barbarian soldiers who couldn't retreat in time were immediately turned into meat paste, turning into bloody mist. The bitter battle reached its climax. Corpses continuously fell from the sky, and the great earth had long been dyed red with blood. A loud cry sounded from not far away. Wang Lai and the Azure Dragon's angry roar collapsed the dragon veins where Wang family was. The battle of kings at the center of the battlefield had come to an end. The crown of Wang Lai's head was torn open, and there were several claw holes. Even his primordial spirit was split open, and his inner organs were all dug out by the dragon claws. his body was almost destroyed. The Azure Dragon wasn't much better off. Its pair of divine wings were torn off, and the lower half of its body was hacked into the ground, dripping with blood. Only the upper half of its body was left, and even one of its horns was broken off. This was a bitter battle. Both sides suffered serious injuries. Even though their bodies could recover, they were cut by the Tao, and the hidden injuries left behind were difficult to recover from in a short period of time. The barbarian army retreated, and Wang family's experts retreated to the Divine Earth. Both sides separated again, and the two great completion kings also returned. Offer sacrifices to our foundation, protect my clan, and kill all enemies. Wang Lai roared. Even though he was seriously injured, his voice still shook heaven and earth, making everyone's primordial spirit feel like it was going to shatter. Hong Long Long. Within the Divine Earth, 9 purple-gold divine centipedes pulled an ancient war chariot as they rushed out. There were several divine sources piled on top of the chariot, releasing endless radiance and submerging a person within. These origin blocks ranged from stone grindstones to fingernails. There were so many of them, and they were piled up together. In a daze, one could vaguely see a person with hair as white as snow, his life force completely extinguished sitting within. He was extremely tall and imposing, intimidating one's soul. This was a type of Holy Land's foundation. Dark King Ancestor, please take action. Wang family's people kowtowed, their voices like collapsing mountains and roaring seas. However, that person within the pile of divine sources didn't move in the slightest, without the slightest bit of reaction. He was like an ice sculpture, without the slightest bit of vitality. Turns out it's the Dark Devil King. I was wondering who it was. What a pity, he passed away in meditation, unable to wake up. Within the barbarian camp, a thin and shriveled elder walked over. With each step he took, heaven and earth would tremble. Even though he wasn't tall, he was as oppressive as an ancient giant. Everything was trembling because of him alone. Even though half of the Azure Dragon's body was broken, at this moment, it was incomparably excited. It threw itself over as if it had seen a relative, using its green dragon head to rub the elder's shoulder. Little Green, so many years have passed. Every time I see you, I will always think of my older brother. The shriveled elder wore beast skin clothes just like his clansmen. One of his arms was bare as he rubbed the Azure Dragon's head. Undying ancient war god. The heavens bless my clan. Long live the barbarian king. Undefeated in every battle, unstoppable. All the barbarian warriors excitedly roared. A few of the powerful figures in the clan revealed shocked expressions. Then they began to roar. Even they didn't think that this elder would still be alive. The barbarian king was an advanced king who had lived for 3,700 years. His vitality was at its peak, showing no signs of declining. He was the younger brother of the previous clan leader. He had disappeared for more than 1,000 years. Even the people of the clan thought that he had passed away in meditation. Who would have thought that he would appear here today? Wang Lai, I've heard of you. You injured my older brother's old companion so heavily. Today I will take your head. The barbarian king stepped forward. Even though he wasn't tall and sturdy, his presence made everyone's hearts tremble. A barbarian king actually appeared. As expected of the barbarian war god tribe, truly terrifying. Wang Lai's heart trembled. During the ancient era, the blood of the barbarians shocked the world. Their physical bodies were unparalleled. Apart from the divine physique, they were the strongest. Such a barbarian king definitely had the blood of the barbarians flowing in his body. Just thinking about that kind of power made his scalp numb. Dark Ancestor, please take action. The people of the Wang clan shouted. They were all anxious. However, the white-haired old man sitting cross-legged in the middle of the pile of divine origin. Even though he was tall and intimidating, he didn't move at all. The barbarian king's speed was too fast. He disappeared in the blink of an eye and appeared beside Wang Lai. He attacked like lightning. Dazzling radiance erupted. Angry roars, berating, and divine force fluctuations spread out at the same time. In the end, a wave of blood surged. A headless corpse collapsed. The barbarian king carried Wang Lai's head and retreated, returning to his camp in an instant. The Wang clan's side was absolutely silent. Everyone's faces were pale. Meanwhile, the barbarians were all roaring loudly. Long live the barbarian king! War blood is unrivaled. An expert from the Wang clan shouted, "We can't care so much anymore. Revive the holy weapon and use all of our trump cards to exterminate these barbarians. Kill the barbarian king and the divine physique." "You want to kill me? Today I will kill you first." Yi Fan shouted loudly. "Little brat Yi, you led tens of thousands of armored cavalry to destroy my clan's inheritance. You should be executed." A group of people berated. Yi Fan activated the travel formula. With the goddess furnace in his bosom, he shot out like lightning. With a pu sound, he used the army formula to take control of the enemy's weapon. He killed that expert and grabbed his head before retreating. Taking the head of the enemy from an army of 10,000 was like entering an uninhabited land. First, there was the barbarian king, and then there was Yi Fan. This kind of method dealt a great blow to the Wang clan. Kill, sweep through everything before you. Kill, unrivaled under the heavens. Kill, unrivaled under the heavens. The barbarian armored cavalry roared loudly, their voices shaking heaven and earth. Suddenly, on the ancient war chariot pulled by the 9 purple gold divine Ho, several large pieces of divine origin fell from the pile of divine origin.